Well, I'm not feeling very sexy this morning, Barry White. I'll tell you that. Good morning, everybody. It is Ben and Woods. We are Ben and Woods. And it is Monday morning, June 26th. You can hear the clock ticking on the Padres season, certainly. We will get into all of that today. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl to my right. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
How was the weekend?
Yeah,
Cool.
it was good.
All right.
It's good. Relaxing.
Not the best color man in the game for nothing, Benjamin. To my left, Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, also our Secretary of Homeland Exploration. Got some exploration on the horizon.
Of course.
Magellan.
Can never be that far away from next vacation.
Yeah, I get it. This
and end of next week after the 4th of July. Be gone for a couple of days. But I actually am feeling a little bit sexier this morning.
Are you?
Than I usually am. It has nothing to do with our baseball team.
You dropped some pounds.
Yeah, so if you watch on our YouTube stream, Paulie has put together an amazing 60-second countdown, which features videos over the past couple of years of the three of us at our golf tournament and in studio, fun events, guests who we've had come in, me running up and down the hallway, me dancing at the silent disco.
It's a lot of you.
And I have to say that when did you start running that? About a month and a half ago?
Sure. Yeah.
I had to take a close look. I didn't like how I looked in those videos. I just thought, all right, I've always been a big guy, but it's just a little bit too much. Need to do something about it. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've started a new diet program. I have been eating much healthier, and I am proud to say, as I join you here on this Monday morning, I have lost 15 pounds.
Let's go.
And I hopefully will keep on going on that journey, but I already feel and do believe that I look better at this point.
Stand up. Let me get a look at you.
Yeah.
Turn around here. All right. Get shirt off there. Take the shirt off. Take the full. How am I
shirt off?
How am I supposed to make Paulie? How am I supposed to make?
You can't. You can't.
Off stage. I mean,
he's pulling up the side.
Give
me a little taste.
I need another 10, 20 pounds to go at least
to get your beach body.
My goal is still a little ways.
All right, now turn to the side. Let me look straight ahead. Okay, yeah, little off the gullet.
Yeah,
you can see a little off the boiler.
That's kind of the last place where it goes.
Where the gullet?
This is where I lose it. Face.
You're lucky.
Everywhere else,
I gained it in my face.
Well, I guess that's lucky. I want to lose it in the midsection, and that's always kind of the last. After it goes away everywhere else, then I can start dropping in the torso area. But
Zeusy says in the chat, thick. Which that's a compliment these
days.
If
it's 2 C's, if it's has a K at the
end, 3 C's.
It's just literal. Oh yeah, it's very thick, isn't it?
No, 3 C's. So you're looking very sexy. I gained the weight in my jowls and in my cheeks, and I hate it. And
jowls is such a funny
word. like a bulldog.
Well, who's the one historical figure who was always most associated with jowls?
Ooh, this is a good question.
Yeah. I have one in mind. I think there's an answer.
Was he one of the founding fathers?
No, he was a president, though.
He was a president.
Yes.
He had the jowl. Was it Nixon?
Nixon, famous for his jowl.
Yeah, when he talked, you see you see the jiggling.
It's never good when one of your signature features, and I've had jowls as well, is something you can order, like pork jowls on a menu.
You can eat jowls?
I think you can eat jowls of other creatures. And you still want to have those.
Bro, that's like hey, can I, like, all the fat goes to my jowls. That's like me saying, do you have just belly fat that you can
probably
cook up?
Delicious, actually.
They probably are, but like, can you just bring me a big belly? I just want a big old belly of a cow, and I want to eat that.
A pork belly is absolutely delicious.
Now look at this, though. I pulled this up from 2019. I'll put it found it on my phone. You singing Smooth. Look how thin you were then.
Oh, wow.
Now,
very nice.
Like I'd have sex with that guy, Paulie. You see that?
See, that was we were barely a year into this schedule. The schedule has not been kind on my
handsome guy
overall health. Obviously,
very sexy.
Just a little harder to eat well. I snack too much at night, which I've cut out, which has helped. Obviously,
too.
You do. Yeah.
I age people. Yeah, it happens. Both my kids already look older than they should because I'm their dad. But no, you look fantastic. I'm very happy for you. Keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah, keep the train running.
Thank you.
I'm starting a little juice type deal today with the missus. Just not a great food weekend at all. Just kind of lazy about cooking and stuff. We're just tired. Just tired, man. The kids just wear us out. So that was our weekend. And it was just like, do you want to cook? No. Do you want to cook? No. All right. What should we get? Oh, PF Chang's? Yeah, sounds delicious. Let's do that. Oh, they still have the cheesecake? Yeah, go and give me a slice of that. Oh, and I'll suck it down with a nice big fat Sprite. So it's just bad. It's just bad dieting weekend. So we're going to try to ratchet it up. It's just, we've said before, if any of us had one magic wish, it would literally be to have the perfect body and be able to eat whatever we wanted for the rest of our lives. That's it. I don't want money. I don't want fame. I want that. I want the perfect body as I see it. As I see it. Not huge and just perfect. Maybe a little V down to the wiener, and that.
What's that muscle called
that
I've never seen in my life?
It's called the V, the vicious V.
Never have known what it's called.
Everybody wants that V. You're like, oh wait,
it's not an ab. Those are kind of more on the sides.
Is my bathing suit falling down, or is this? Oh, hang on, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry, everyone saw my V out here. Sorry, it won't happen again, guys. Get the V. A few little muscles here, big kind of sexy arms, and some nice legs. You got the legs covered.
Legs are okay. Legs are always okay.
And then just the ability to be like, yep, I will take, go ahead and give me a slab of ribs, a big old thing of potato salad, Mountain Dew to wash it down, and cherry pie.
That's the dream.
That is number one.
I've never understood.
That's heaven. That's what heaven is.
Why how has evolution led us to this point where the things that are good for us are always the stuff that we don't want to eat, and the things that are bad for us is the stuff we do want to eat?
I've heard it's about retraining your brain, and the weird part is, and you guys probably have been through some of this too.
Wouldn't it make sense though that our brains would be wired to really crave the healthy stuff that makes us feel so good and healthy, and that the stuff that makes us kind of fat and lethargic and slow would not taste good to us?
So I have hit that in my life. To where the brain has actually flipped over, and where my body craved nutrients, salads, fruits, healthy green leafy vegetables. I've been there. I've gotten to that point where I'm like, but
you have to work so hard to get there.
It's such a short.
Seems like the opposite.
It's such a short fleeting time.
The more you got unhealthy, the less good unhealthy food would taste.
Right.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't. It does not work that way. You still have those cravings. It's about retraining your brain more than your body, honestly. And it's just tough, and it takes a lot of planning. And that's the bummer for me. Is the hardest thing for me. And like Paulie, you too. Ben's maybe a little different because, you have the second job and everything else. I get out of here at, call it 10:30. I have all day. If I need to go, Paulie, if I need to drive out into somebody's farm, pull fresh vegetables, wipe them clean, go home and prepare, I have the time to do it. I just don't. I got time to go to 7 different farmers markets and come home and cook a delicious, nutritious dinner. I just choose not to do it. Why? Because I'm a turd. That's why. And that's the real bummers. I have the time to really put in the work, and I'm like,
I've had to make the time over the last couple of weeks. I've spent roasting vegetables. I've roasted more vegetables on my own than I've ever done in my entire life over the past couple of weeks. You're constantly.
What are you going to? What's the go-to?
So I've gone to Costco. I get the big bags of broccoli, and I got the big bags of asparagus, which are 2 of the good ones I'm supposed to be having. And I'll just make a big batch, and then I'll put it in Ziploc bags in the fridge, and then I'll take it with me to work along with some lean protein, some chicken, some turkey breast or something.
Ooh.
And reheat it at work. And that's been my dinner. And it's not the most exciting of meals, but it's gotten me through. I've not really felt that hungry. The worst times are at night when I get home, at midnight from the job at Channel 10, and all I want is a sweet treat, a snack, and
treat yourself.
I just basically have to force myself to run straight up to the bathroom and brush my teeth. So I'm, all right, well, now you're not going to eat anything because you just brushed your teeth, and then go to bed.
Yeah, the teeth brushing's clutch.
Yeah,
it's clutch. It really does work.
But otherwise, I feel fine now. Just black coffee in the mornings, and then get my 2 meals during the day, and eating about 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And guess what? The weight comes off pretty easily when you do that.
I don't want to watch you drop dead from. How did he die? He was on a hunger strike apparently, and Ben dropped dead. If being healthy is what kills you, I'm going to be really mad.
Yeah, I would be so mad.
It would be awful
if being healthy actually is what killed me.
His body just couldn't handle it. It shut down. It was lacking.
If only he had eaten carne asada burritos all week.
His body, we found a severe lack of butter sauce in there, and his body couldn't adjust. It's like kicking heroin. You have to do it, and you can't just do it cold turkey. His body couldn't adjust, and we tried to.
Ironically, I have been eating cold turkey.
We tried to rub some melted butter on his lips and gums to get him going. It didn't, so he is gone.
Like Narcan, but
Narcan, but for fat guys. Just sticks of butter. Get him, open his mouth, clear his tongue. Paulie, pour it in there. He just dies. Well, today is National Chocolate Pudding Day, so
great.
I guess you will not be.
At least it's not butterscotch pudding day.
Yes, you will not be imbibing.
I will not be taking part.
That. Well,
today.
Listen, it's nice to start the day off with some laughs. I don't know how many more laughs you're going to hear later in the show. Listen, it's we had a long text thread yesterday about this team and our role in this whole deal. Right, the Ben and Woods program as a whole, and Paulie actually shut us down on the thing and said we should be doing this on the air, and I think that's valid. I've got DMs of all sorts of different approaches, and I think there's probably room for a lot of them. To be honest with you, I will tell you, yesterday was my worst day as a Padre fan this season. But number one, I lost my mind a little bit at the TV, yelling at the TV in front of my kids. After it was over, I was so livid at this baseball team. And then Paulie said something to me in the text that made a lot of sense too. The one thing that's kicking in for many, many people that is the absolute worst thing that you could get is apathy. And Eric Grupner, Padres CEO, actually talked about it on Friday when he was on the program. Apathy. And I feel like this series was probably the series that have pushed a lot of Padres fans into apathy. And I'm not quite there yet. And it's not just because of what we do for a living and we have to watch the games and talk about them, but I'm close. It's got the seed of apathy has now been implanted in my belly.
I would say yesterday's game, I don't know if I was mad or frustrated, but it was definitely an inflection point for me of the season. We can talk about that going forward as well. We won't, it's weird. We always go kind of backwards on the weekend, and we talk about Sunday's game, then Saturday's game, and then Friday's game. And I was thinking to myself, what would have happened if we had a show on Saturday morning?
Oh, we would have been so happy.
I mean, we'd almost feel silly at this point. If we had come in, let's say Friday's game had been Thursday and Thursday's game had been Wednesday, and we came in Friday morning, the Padres have scored 23 runs in 2 straight games. I think we'd all feel very justified in declaring, okay, this team has finally turned the corner. Look at this. This is the offense we've been dreaming about. The pitching staff is still getting it done. There's no reason not to think. Padres are about to go on a really big run here. They're going to reel off a bunch of wins. They're going to be above 500 at the All-Star break. They're going to be in playoff position probably by the end of July. It looks like this team has finally figured it out and put it all together. We would absolutely have done that show, and I would have felt very justified in doing that show. We went to the game on Friday night. They looked great.
I was there too. It looked fantastic.
Blast. It was terrific. It really looked like something had finally clicked in this team. When then the next 2 days happen, and you just wonder how does a team go from 100 miles an hour to 0 in one day? As if they're a completely different ball club. I get it. The momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher, and you run into a guy who's hot. But the 2 pitchers they faced over the weekend, Mackenzie Gore was throwing well, but straight down the middle. And Josiah Gray wasn't anything special, and they were completely different. One was a righty, one was a lefty. You can say, well, lefties who throw hard give the Padres trouble. You can't even make a big statement about what gives the Padres trouble. because you never know from day to day what's going to give the Padres trouble or not.
Yeah, though we can kind of pinpoint it now, and it's not the first
Well,
time
there's a
we've
couple
seen
things
it.
for sure.
It's not the first time we've seen it, and we can get into that today. Tony B says 2 games is not a turnaround. I mean, you scored 23 runs in those 2 games. You felt like, hey man, obviously we're not going to score 10 plus a night. We can get 7. We can get 7 off of Hosea Gray and Mackenzie Gore. Like no problem. Like these guys are good pitchers. They're not the best in the game.
2 games is not a turnaround, but given what had happened, 3 series wins, beating the Rays. Obviously, they lost 3 to the Giants, but could have won. They could have won every single one of those games, and you're feeling like, all right, this is definitely a better team than we've seen early in the season. Yet the last 2 days, probably the worst 2 days back-to-back of the entire year for the Padres. We will talk all about it.
Clambino says we got to bring back the reverse the curse segment. That's the key. What was the segment?
It was like
we did
chant.
A chant.
We had everybody chant it in their car.
I think we need to bring in an expert. I think.
Let me see if I can, dude. Look up Voodoo Priestess on Google, please. Thank you.
Curses aren't real until we have no other explanations and alternatives.
I believe in a hex. I do not believe in a curse. Yeah, somebody has hexed this.
Well, whatever we've got, we need to get it.
It's time to break the hex.
All right, we will get our daily ditty thing started. It's a Paulie selection. Again, he's got to come up with another theme.
Lord.
He's been hot on Mondays, just kind of the way it's fallen because of Woods' record on Take on Woods. Give away some more. We had some more Legion tickets to give away for the playoffs.
We do
have playoff tickets to give away, and then we'll get into it. Definitely some Padres talk. I'd like to keep it as fun as we can, though. Yeah. It doesn't have to be
I'm going to be mad.
It doesn't have to be misery, but it definitely feels a little different this Monday than it has for me, at least. Some of the other Mondays this season, even some of the frustrating ones. So we'll get all into it. Glad to have you with us. Appreciate everybody who still joins us. I've seen some people that go, I don't know if I can listen to Ben Woods because they talk the Padres and the Padres are frustrating me so much. That saddens me. I don't want to think that our show is simply, hey, the Padres won, so let's listen to Ben Woods. Oh, the Padres lost. Let's not listen to them. I'd like to think we're better than that.
People don't like to relive it a lot, and I get it, and I wouldn't want to if I didn't have to. So I'm with you. I understand that. I still wish you would listen because you might hear Ben fart or something, and it's still funny.
Never. Have you ever heard me?
Like once, maybe.
No. The ratio is out of control on your half of the
true.
The dial on that.
No, we love you guys. You know that.
Who farted? Getting started. Kelly's under the weather right here. We have Vicky Pepper this morning in for traffic.
Vicky Pepper.
Kelly, hope you feel better. Let's get traffic going, and then we will be off and running on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I'm trying to guess the theme here. So my was like, all right, covers again. Paulie said no. I said dead lovers.
No.
No. Let me think.
Songs about mourning, being
sad,
sad at something that died.
like an offense, like an
Yeah.
entire offense.
You guys are getting there. Yeah. I love this song, but my
Fantastic.
God, does it make me sad?
Oh, sad songs.
It's a sad song.
Oh, dude. Got you.
Theme is songs that make you sad, like the Padres do.
All right.
Just give me your ditties. I live in this every day. This is just what I listen to. I listen to it when I'm happy. My wife's like, "What is your problem?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm in a great mood. Why are you listening to 9 Inch Nails Hurt on 10?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it's a beautiful, amazing song." Are you okay? I'm great. What are you talking? Everything's great. Sun shining, kids are healthy. What's the problem here? That's probably I live in misery.
I think when your life is going so well that you need a dose of sadness from your music,
You
just
go to
balance it out,
music.
you know you're in a good place.
No joy in my life.
I'm craving the sadness that music can bring me because everything else is just so perfect.
Everything's going so well. And yeah, it's not like you're walking around listening to "I'm walking on sunshine." Like that just puts me.
That's what you listen to when you're in a bad mood.
That puts me in a bad mood.
You have a bad mood.
That's a great song and a great topic. And let's wallow in the sadness a little bit this week. I'm fine with it. You know, I will live and I'll do a whole show on The Cure if I have to. Paulie, we'll go first album to last, my friend. Great choice. Pearl Jam's Last Kiss.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Smart and Final. Smart and Final's got your whole 4th of July cookout, from snacks to burgers to drinks and more, at prices that are worth celebrating. Get it all in one trip, and that's it. So I said this weekend, and especially yesterday, felt like an inflection point to me for the season, and I tweeted about it as well. The season's not over. I know some people say the season's over. I truly will never give up on the season until the day they are right and eliminated from playoff contention, which won't happen for months probably. However, yesterday to me was the day that the Padres changed from a team that I fully expected to turn it around, and now I would be surprised, at least mildly surprised, if they turned it around and started playing, 600 baseball, the kind of baseball that it would take for them to get to the postseason. That's no longer my expectation, which it really legitimately had been. And I tweeted, and this has gotten almost like 1,000, likes and whatever going on. I said, sorry, I really thought this team was going to be very good. I still think they have a lot of really good players. I still don't think Bob Melvin is the problem. They've had some decent stretches and we'll probably have a couple more, but this isn't the team we expected. And I can no longer expect the Padres, no matter how high their payroll is, no matter what the back of the baseball cards of players like Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth say, I can no longer expect this team to be any better than a 500 ball club, which is essentially what they've been. They are one game above 500 in the month of June. They were one game above 500 in the month of April, and they were 6 games under 500 in a miserable month of May. They had that terrible stretch of like 11 out of 13 that they lost, something like that. Other than that, they've been a 500 ball club, and that really should be what I expect going forward. And I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. I'd love for them to prove that my lack of faith was my fault and not theirs. But right now, I've hit that inflection point where it's no longer, I think, wise to expect this team to turn around and be anything different than look great a couple of days of the week and look not so great, a couple more days of the week.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a hard reality to get to. It really is. It's a hard reality to get to based on the expectations and the happiness, that we all felt. And can they surprise us? Sure, absolutely, they can surprise us. But do I think it's going to happen? No. And I think we've seen a big enough sample size from this team to look at them and go, yeah, this is what they are. Hey, I'll tell you what, the feast games where everyone's eating, those are a blast. They are an absolute blast. I had so much fun on Friday night. I had fun watching the game the night before. But the famine days are excruciating. And again, not like you're not like you don't have opportunities in each one of these games to win. And I think a lot of people questioning their heart, a lot of people questioning their effort. And while I didn't think that was fair 2 months ago, I do feel like it's a little bit more fair today than it was. I do. The desire, the want to. I just I don't know. I'm not. They're locked up in a lot of spots. Taking 3-1 cookies down the middle, getting beat by 16 straight fastballs to start a game. That's not the mark of a good baseball team. I think if the other baseball teams in Major League Baseball, Ben, if the pitcher comes out and says, "I'm going to throw 95 down the middle till you guys hit it," I don't think it would take 2 innings. I don't. Took more than that yesterday with Mackenzie Gore. So anyway, let's take a break. We'll be back. Do the wrap up.
We will.
Are we going to go in reverse, or how do you want to do it?
No,
we'll
start with yesterday because I want to play some of the audio from Bob Melvin after the game. I don't know if you stuck around for the post-game show.
I did not.
I'm not surprised you didn't.
I went to play baseball in the street with my kids.
I would say the skipper was, well, depending on how you want to view it, defiant, defensive. There were some questions that maybe he bristled out a little bit after the game yesterday. You said you think the team, it's time to question their hearts. He certainly disagrees with that. But we'll play what the manager had to say after the game if you missed it. It's some interesting comments from Bob Melvin in our Padres wrap-up coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car or something you can zip around in, visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities, Cars.com. Where to next? Haven't lined up our guests for this morning. If you listen regularly on Mondays, you're not going to be too surprised that we'll have Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue with us on a grand old Monday at 8:35. I had the London series this weekend, had a series between the Dodgers and the Astros.
Boy, that got wild.
The Reds-Braves series was a huge matchup. Maybe the Padres aren't that interesting at the moment, but Major League Baseball certainly is. Lots of storylines. Jake will go through all of them with us coming up at 8:35. And Sam Levitt, as usual, on a Monday, in-season Sammy at 9:35, our Padres pre- and post-game show host. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. All right, Paul has got this Bob Melvin sound ready for us after the Padres wrap up, which will come your way. Hopefully we'll get through it quickly because it was not a good one yesterday right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Ugh.
I don't think you can downplay the significance of this weekend, only because the players and coaches didn't downplay it going into the series either. You will hear baseball players. They are long view type people. They're never going to panic 30 games in, 40 games in, 50 games in. They're always going to say, hey, just another game, just another series. We got to win it. Yes. But you know what? It's just one day after another. It's a long baseball season. There were some comments before this series by Xander Bogaerts, some of the other players as well, that, Xander said, we got to come in and sweep these guys. You don't hear that very often because it's kind of a sign of disrespect to another team that, you feel like you need to sweep them or that they're, a last place team. You don't acknowledge that publicly very often. So when you heard Xander Bogaerts say that, some of the other players talk about that, and then Bob Melvin right there after the game go, yeah, we needed that one. We needed to win this series. We were hoping for even more than just winning the series, but we needed to win it, and we didn't do it. We didn't play well enough. To me, that has a different feeling than some of the other struggles from earlier in the season, which were dismissed a little bit more as the ups and downs of baseball. Gonna get it going. It's just a bit of a slow start. It's just a kind of a funk. We'll get through it. We know that we've got the talent to move through it. The Padres now themselves have acknowledged that this season has hit an inflection point and is going the wrong way, and they have no answers. You ask them throughout the clubhouse, they do not have any answers. They don't know what's going wrong. I believe them when they say that. Sometimes they'll say, we don't know what's going wrong, and they really do. But right now, I feel this is a team that is lost in a fog, Woods.
I can't decide what was the worst outing, yesterday or Saturday. All right, so they're both terrible. You scored a total of 3 runs in both games, and we'll get into Saturday's game. But let's start with Sunday. Mackenzie Gore.
Saturday, they didn't score any runs.
That's what I said.
Total of 3 runs, yeah.
Mackenzie Gore grabs the ball before his start. He's warming up in the bullpen. The way it played out in my head was their pitching coach went up to him and said, hey, Mac, how you feeling? Good? Yeah, you look good. Good. Yeah, fastball feels good. Great. Throw it. That's all you're going to need. I mean, let me work the slider in. Let me work the changeup. No. Just pump your fastball. Man, I don't know, man. You got Tatis and Ha-Seong Kim and Manny Machado and Juan Soto, and I can't just throw fastballs. You're going to get me killed. Throw the fastball, Mac. All right, spot it up, down, up. No, throw it down the middle as many times as you can in a row. Are you sure? I'm sure. Trust me on this. 6 batters to start the game. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Fastballs down every time. Didn't move. They looked
pretty straight.
They weren't
pretty down the middle.
They weren't those nasty ones that start at someone's hip and he goes, "Oh God, it's backed up on." No, this is straight cheddar down the middle.
McKenzie throws 96, 97.
Bro,
they see faster than that.
100% they do. And I mean, again, Tatis as late as can be. Soto staring at everything, looking for anything other than a fastball down the middle to hit. I don't know much about baseball, Ben. I do know this. That's good eating for a lot of teams. A lot of teams can get him out of that rhythm within 2 batters. All right, I can't do that. I can't just go up there and throw heat against these guys.
I agree. You've identified something that's not just yesterday, but it's been a problem for the Padres.
100%. The book is out on this team.
But what you can't explain is why.
Why?
There's no reason why Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Juan Soto, they're all great hitters and generally have hit fastballs in the past. This is
the worst fastball hitting team in America.
But that was not like the book.
Canada.
That was not the book on the Padres going into this year that, they're going to have trouble hitting fastballs down the middle.
The book on the Padres before the season started was, all right, strap it on, pitchers, because you got your work cut out for you, especially in the first 5-6 batters. And when they get Tatis back, watch out. Time to be very careful. There was no care. Mackenzie Gore wasn't careful at all. He reared back and he threw fastballs down the middle to the first 6 hitters. They all missed, every one of them. And that, again, he's not throwing 105. He's throwing 95 miles an hour down the middle. Could I hit 95 down the middle? Probably not. But I don't make $30 million a year to do it.
So
it's unbelievable.
The moment that I felt, though, the game was going to be lost actually came a little bit later. Yes, the first 6 guys struck out. Padres got a couple runners on in the third, Had a rally in the fourth. Jake Cronenworth struck out with runners on the corners with 2 outs to end that rally. And then finally in the fifth, it's still a 1-0 game. Nelson Cruz gets another infield single. Nola hits a line out. Grisham then fielder's choice. So he's at first, but then Kim walks and Tatis works a long at bat against Mackenzie Gore. Finally pokes a single to the right side, just over the second baseman's head, and they tie the score at 1.
Open the floodgates.
It felt like they had to work so hard
to get
for that one run. And the moment I felt the game was over was, so Luis Garcia of the Nationals led off the next inning, just poked an easy single right off the bat off Seth Lugo, went the other way, kind of just, poked one between shortstop and left field. And I was listening to Jesse as I went in and went, that was so easy for them. Padres worked so hard. They battled, they clawed to score the 1. Now the Nationals have a leadoff run on. They're going to come around, score. They're going to retake the lead, and it's going to be the gut punch because the Padres had to fight for 5 innings to finally scratch a run, and the Nats are going to answer right back, aren't they? And they did. 3 straight singles knocked Lugo out of the game. They scored twice in the inning, and the Padres were down 3-1. And while they had their chances, of course, they never really responded after that. And, then the 7th inning happened with Tim Hill, and the game was over. But I felt like that moment, oh, no, they lead off single right after that rally. You didn't answer right away. You had to stop them. You had to put a 0 on the board in that inning, and they didn't do it.
So here's the numbers that are going to make everyone mad, and maybe even you, because I said it on Friday. I said they're just not a good baseball team. They're not. They stink. And I said they stink. They're a stinky.
Did you say that on Friday?
Yeah.
After they won 10?
Yeah. No,
10
maybe it was
nothing?
on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah. I said they stink. It was last week.
Yeah.
They're not good. They're not good, and we need to learn to deal with that. Ben, they are 8-30. 8-30 when their opponent scores first. They're 5-13 in 1-run games. They are 0-6 in extra inning games. They are a staggering 3-31 when trailing after 6 innings. 3-31. Guys, you still have 9 more ABs, and they are 4-34 when they score 3 or fewer runs. There is no reason.
All numbers that would lead a logical person to question whether the team has the heart to battle and come back in games. I think it's a very fair question. I also do believe it's fair to say, is it heart that wins games at late, or is it execution and doing your job and hitting?
It's always execution.
I tend to think that, but the question was asked to Bob Melvin after the game last night. We got a little back and forth here with the reporters. I think there's a Kevin Acee and an AJ Cassavell question in here, but the heart topic came up, and you heard whether it was a defiant or a defensive. You can make the judgment yourself. Bob Melvin in his post-game news conference yesterday.
We just got to keep working, keep playing hard, and keep fighting through it. It's been a tough stretch, to where we are right now. We never expected to be where we were record-wise at this point, but it is what it is, and it basically tells you who you are. And we haven't been able to play consistently enough to have a better record and be over 500.
I know they've bounced back quite a bit, but that's because you've fallen so much.
Right.
What's the level of concern that at some point here you're going to lose heart?
No, that won't happen. That won't happen. There's a lot of baseball left. You go on a run and you're right back in it. So it doesn't look great. There are a lot of teams ahead of us as far as playoff teams at this point, but there is, a run that could get us right back into it quickly. We just haven't done it. That's the hardest part at this point.
Given that the nature of that run is getting more and more imperative, and the predicament you find yourselves in at this point, does the urgency ratchet up given where things are in the standings now?
There's a balance, right? You play for each and every day and hope that gets you to a different place. But we have a lot of guys here that aren't, you don't want to go into some sort of a panic type mode with your at-bats. You only want to be able to string them together and give multiple at-bats, make pitchers work. At times we've done it, more than often we have not. And it's been runners in scoring position that's been our biggest problem. But there's not going to be a give up here. We're going to continue to fight as hard as we can and know that with the talent that we have the ability to win a lot of games.
No, they are not going to lose heart. There is not going to be a give up. Is that Bob Melvin pleading that into reality? Does he really believe that? Is that what he sees from this team right now? I don't know.
I mean,
I
how
don't know.
could you see that from this team when you're the lowest batting average against fastballs in the league? That should not be reserved for a team like the San Diego Padres, Ben. They are batting 230 against the fastball. That is, if you told me it was the Oakland Athletics, the Kansas City Royals, the Washington Nationals, if you told me, yeah, they don't hit the fastball well, there is no reason that this team should be dead last against the fastball.
Other teams know it. Dennis Lynn writing in The Athletic. Rival scouts say the Padres struggles hitting fastballs. They entered Sunday's batting average, a league worst 230 against the pitch, are more attributable to the composition of the roster, and Preller's main offensive acquisitions from the offseason have failed to supply much of a jolt.
So, which I understand.
You don't get to the big leagues without being able to hit a fastball, though.
And how does Xander Bogaerts have a long and fruitful career in Boston by not hitting fastballs? That can't be. Juan Soto, with all of his accolades, can he not hit a fastball? Manny late on the fastball. Tatis way late on the fastball.
I mean, we saw them and heard, training on the super speed machines at spring training. I don't think it's something they've neglected, like working on, high velocity fastballs and training to do that sort of stuff.
I just don't get it.
That's why the Padres say the same thing. They just don't get it. They don't understand why it's not happening and why they can't hit the fastball.
It's not ready to eat, man.
It's hard,
just not ready to hunt.
Hard to fix a problem when you don't understand what's causing the problem in the first place.
That's six batters in a row. I don't think he threw another pitch.
All right, we got to take time out. Top of the hour, we will come back. Play a little Take on Woods when we come back. Saturday's loss was ugly in a different way for your San Diego Padres. That's coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods, you made a lot of sense talking about the Padres' struggles against the fastball on Sunday and throughout the season.
I almost just put on, look,
Double glasses.
double
That is a
readers.
cool look.
Is that cool?
Can you read extra good?
I have them on. There's another pair sitting here, so I just
Take a picture. We'll say Woods trying to figure out what's wrong with the Padres. He's showing extra hard. He's trying extra hard.
I can't see a thing.
So yes, the fastball struggles for whatever reason. They're not hitting him well. That's documented. That's statistically shown over the course of the first half of this season. Padres bad against fastballs. Doesn't really explain what happened on Saturday, though, against Josiah Gray. Not like he had an overwhelming fastball. I mean,
Still threw it.
well, every
and-
pitcher throws
Yeah,
fastballs.
of course.
So did the guys that, the Padres scored 23 runs against the previous 2 days. They also threw fastballs. In
Don't
that game.
forget, though, that I texted you guys like in the 5th, and I said Patrick Corbin, more like Steve Carlton, because he had carved through the Padres lineup until the breakout happened. And yeah, man, it's just the tale of two teams. And we just don't get enough of not enough feasting and too much famine from this team right now, Ben. But you watch Josiah Gray pitch, and I know he was a top prospect that they picked up from the Dodgers. He is as pedestrian of a starting pitcher in the big league as DeSclafani and everybody else. He's just a guy. He is nowhere near a guy that should chew up that lineup and shut them out.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. And yet Padres managed only 4 hits.
Good
And the
God.
fact that it came after scoring 23 runs the previous 2 days, that one was to me the most baffling loss of the weekend. That how do you look like
they're equally baffling just because of Mackenzie Gore's ability
maybe, but
to pump shed by every
But
guy.
I mean, at least Mackenzie Gore is known for having an electric arm and is a top prospect. And I know Josiah Gray was, but he had a terrible season last year. Not a
He's
great.
very average this
He's
year.
very average this year. He's been coming off some bad starts, and the Padres had been hot. Now I get it. You have 23 runs, and you go up against, an on his game Zach Gallen, and he shuts you down. Good pitching, hitting his spots, that can beat good hitting. I don't expect someone like Josiah Gray, though, to come out and shut down a team that had just scored 23 runs. You're going to at least, a bad game, you're at least getting 4 or 5 against a guy like that.
Dude.
After
100%.
it looks like you're so locked into the plate. And that, to me, was the most confusing of the losses. And I thought that the Padres' potential Achilles heel was going to be starting pitching depth, because they have been woefully thin when, Ryan Weathers has not gotten the job done, trying to dig in to find people. But ultimately, Padres have gotten by with their starting pitching. They call up Matt Waldron on Saturday, and he was absolutely everything they needed him to be.
Yeah.
They gave up 2 solo home runs,
BFD.
only pitched into the 5th, but guess what? Bob Melvin would have signed up for that in a heartbeat and probably thought,
we win this
we
game
give
easy.
up. Matt Waldron only gives up 2, gets us to the 5th. After we just scored 23, I like our chances at like a 9-3 victory in this game. I mean, Bob Melvin would have signed up for that in a heartbeat.
They were bigger favorites because, as somebody that enjoys at least looking at the lines, Ben, they were bigger favorites in Saturday's game than they were on Friday night's game against the aging, he's going to go 6 innings and give up 6 runs, Patrick Corbin. They were bigger favorites with a rookie on the mound making his major league debut against Josiah Gray. Way bigger favorites. It was like minus 185 for the Padres on Saturday. So Vegas thought, oh, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter that they're bringing up a guy with a 7 ERA from El Paso. It's the Nationals. They're going to dominate this team. And it didn't happen. Didn't score 1 effing run. Not 1 run. And, yeah, man, tip your hat to Matt Waldron. I went out there, by the way. Did you watch the game on TV, or were you there?
TV.
He was like shaking, like visibly nervous, which I can totally understand.
Yeah.
He gutted through what looked like 4 and 2/3 pretty uncomfortable innings out there, settled in a little bit of a groove, got some big outs, barely used his knuckleball. And I found out after, because we were made to believe that he was like Steve Sparks, like he was going to come in there and throw nothing but knuckleballs. At least I was. He threw Sweeney said 14, but I can only remember seeing like 3. But the reason he didn't throw it with runners on base because Gary Sanchez doesn't know how to catch it. He has no idea. and was like, I'm not calling for a knuckleball, a pitch I can't catch with a guy on base.
Even veteran catchers like a Yadi Molina, sometimes the knuckleball
Bro,
is just uncatchable.
They have these weird, like Kevin Cash was like the knuckleball catcher for Tim Wakefield. Like these weird guys that can't do anything else but catch knuckleballs. We don't have that person on this team, so that's why he didn't go to it much.
Both of the home runs came on fastballs.
Yep.
Which is it has a pedestrian like 92. It's not great. He started throwing the knuckleball. He kind of stopped for a couple innings. He threw it more in his last couple innings, and they didn't hit it when he threw it.
Yep.
They definitely
Weak contact.
They struggled against it. Weak contact, a few misses. I mean, if the Padres are throwing Matt Waldron every fifth day, something's gone wrong this season.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
you always
He did
need
his job.
a spot starter, and he did his job. So you can't blame the starting pitching, I think, for any of the losses of the last 2 days.
And you can't blame the bullpen either, because they came in and held the Nationals to 2. And again, keeping you in the ball game, just like they did Saturday, and obviously did not come through on Sunday. We did not talk about Timmy Hill's meltdown inning that just changed everything. I guess those happen from time to time. It's just frustrating.
It is, but do you feel like if Timmy Hill had come in and kept it at a 3-1 game,
no, we're still
that the Padres would have won? I know they ended up scoring 3.
2.
Padres scored 3, but
total.
Yeah, but
too late, right?
Yeah, 2. They ended up. I mean, they finished with 3.
But it was after Timmy Hill. They scored 2 runs.
Yes. Yeah, and which theoretically would have tied it had Tim Hill not given up 5. But do you feel like they still would have scored those 2 runs if it had been a 3-1 game and not an 8-1 game?
Right. No.
Are the Padres scoring those 2 runs? And those
Nationals go up 8-1, and it's just cruise control.
Yeah, cruise control.
So it brings up the stat that you mentioned. When the Padres fall behind in games, they almost never come from behind. Their 14 comeback wins are 4th fewest in the majors, and 11 of those are just from a 1-run deficit. So you get down like 2-0 like the Padres did on Saturday, it's pretty much been game over. And I hate that. I always hate it on Twitter when Padres give up a run or 2 in the second inning of your game.
Wrong.
It's over.
They're not wrong.
But they haven't been wrong this year.
8-30.
No, I'm gonna give you some comments from Xander Bogaerts about that.
Somebody asked these numbers again. Just let these sink in. 8 for 30 when their opponent scores first. 8-30. 5-13 in 1-run games. 0-6 in extra innings. We know that atrocity. 3-31 after trailing after 6 innings, and 4-34 when they score 3 or fewer runs. The one that kills me is 3-31 after 6. It's not after 8. It's after 6. You've won 3 games.
You got a third of the game left. 33% of the game.
You have a third of the game left. You're like, well, we're done.
We talked last week about how bad they've been in the late and close situations offensively. Worst in baseball when it's within 1 run in the last 3 innings. Well, that's why they haven't come back to win any of those. We need a contestant for taking on Woods. I'm going to give you these Xander Bogaerts quotes. While I do that, they'll call in to play our musical trivia game. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. No one on the line. We just cleared them, so you can call in right now, play our musical trivia game, chance to qualify for a trip to Vegas. So Bogaerts was asked if the inability to erase even a 2-0 deficit, a 1-0 deficit, is a lack of fight. He says, I won't say we're lacking fight because we're at home. We feel great. We're in the game. We feel good. But for some reason, we can't add 2 hits behind each other or a walk or just the ability to create something. Juan Soto said, come on, we're playing the Nationals. We're down 1-0. It shouldn't be that hard.
No.
Bogaerts talks more like a fan than most of the players.
He does.
He really does.
We're playing the Nationals.
It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, you never hear a ball player say that.
Who said it? Stephen Woods or Xander
Bogaerts?
Mine yesterday after the game. It's the effing Nationals. That's good God.
That's pretty much what Xander. It's 1-0. It's the Nationals. You should feel like, we got this. No problem whatsoever.
They tried to give it away. They're walking bases loaded. They're kicking the ball around. Just no fight, man.
Juan Soto said, I would say we just got to go out there and play baseball. We all know we want to do better, but we have to just go out there and play hard. That's what I'm saying. Every team in the league, they want to beat us, but we just have to go out there and play as the Padres. Those are from the UT newsletter.
You have to not play like the Padres. You have to play the opposite of how the Padres play. And the opposite of how the Padres play is 3-31 after 6. Do the opposite. Go full Costanza. I'm unemployed. I live with my parents. I'm not going to swing at this. Yes, I am. I'm going to try to get a walk. No, I'm not. Do the opposite of what I was going to bunt. Now I'm not going to. Do the opposite of whatever you've been doing, Juan. Don't play like the Padres. Please. Padres fans are begging you. Play like anybody else. And when I say anybody else, Ben, I mean anybody else, because no one is worse with runners in scoring position than this team. So play like the Royals. Play like the Mets that are terrible.
The A's.
Play like the A's. Just don't play like the Padres one. Play
Maybe-
like
maybe
any
don't play
other
like
team.
Play like any other
like
team
any
in
other
the
team.
history of Major League Baseball.
Yes,
pretty
any other
much.
team. Play like any other team.
All right, let's take a break. We've talked enough Padres in the last 30 minutes. We got Don't Do This coming up right now, though. Let's play Take on Woods. And we say good morning to Steve. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. We've had some epic Steve versus Steven clashes in Take on Woods. Of course, you're trying to qualify for our getaway to Las Vegas in the month of June at Resorts World Las Vegas, and tickets to see Luke Bryan headlining at Resorts World Theater August 30th to September 9th. Tickets and VIP packages on sale now at access.com, AXS.com, and RWLasVegas.com. Here are your category choices, Steve. Still have the periodic table sitting there. Elements figure in each answer, song title and artist. Lie, cheat, or steal, songs and artists that include one of those three words. And our new category, Talkin' Like Tingler. Those are 5 song titles in which the first word drops the letter G at the end, like talkin' instead of talking. So scoopin'. All right, Steve, of those 3, periodic table, lie, cheat, or steal, or Talkin' Like Tingler, what would you like to play?
Oh, wow. Let's go with the first one. He said has elements. in it?
Elements from the periodic table.
Heck, let's give that a shot. Why
All
not?
right. Well, someone's got to do it, right? Okay, chemistry buffs. Today's questions feature song titles and artists, including an element from the periodic table in their name, like oxygen or something like that. You'll have 60 seconds, Steve, to answer as many of the 5 as you can. Then Woods comes, gets the same questions. You beat or tie him, we'll put you into the drawing for Las Vegas. First question is a 2-second song. Paulie will play a clip of a well-known hit. You need to give me the title and the artist to score the point there. And remember the category, the periodic table. Steve, you ready to play?
Yes.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Steve. Let's take on Woods.
I'm so happy because today from a friend.
Pass.
Sia provides the powerful vocals for which 2011 hit from David Guetta.
Oh, baby, we got a loser today. I'm telling you.
Which Canadians had their breakthrough with the 2002 single How You Remind Me? Jamie Foxx is featured in which 2005 rap in which Kanye West is taken in by a woman who's just in it for the money?
Pass. My apologies. I chose
That's
the
all
wrong-
right. After opening for the Killers on their 2008 tour, which Utah band came out with their biggest hit, Animal, 2 years later?
Someone who's never tasted my cooking. I have no idea.
This is not going to be a good one. Any time left for the 2-second song again?
I'm so
Any guess on the
I know
band?
it's Nirvana,
Yeah.
but I don't know the name of the
All
song.
right. Well, you got half of it right, but I don't think it's going to happen for you today, Steve. That's okay. You know what? I'm gonna keep the answers a secret until Woods comes in, since we didn't get any of them. Let's bring Woods in. Get through this. This is going to be a win. Now it's just a question of how well he does against Steve. All right, Steve v. Steve.
on Steve.
All right,
Prime.
Woods doesn't get the category. 60 seconds back on the clock. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Steve.
I'm so happy because today
That is Nirvana. Obviously, I'll come back to this.
Sia provides the powerful vocals for which 2011 hit from David Guetta.
Titanium.
Correct. Which Canadians had their breakthrough with the 2002 single How You Remind Me?
Nickelback.
Correct. Jamie Foxx is featured in which 2005 rap in which Kanye West is taken in by a woman who's just in it for the money?
Gold Digger.
Correct. After opening for the Killers on their 2008 tour, which Utah band came out with their biggest hit, Animal, 2 years later?
Oh God, I know this one. All right, go back to the Nirvana.
All right, go back to Nirvana.
I'm
You got-
I'm so happy cause
What the hell's the name of this
today I found my friend.
Oh, Lithium.
Correct. Go back to the Killers 2008 tour openers, which Utah band came out with their biggest hit, Animal, 2 years later.
Green neon, neon so close. Neons. Neon trees. Oh.
You got 4 though, and Steve didn't get any. It wasn't a good category for him. Any idea what the category is now?
Metal or the
Elements from the periodic
yeah.
table: lithium, titanium, nickel, back, gold digger, and neon trees.
Oh, man.
Not bad though.
grinded
Yeah,
that
Steve
one.
had trouble with that one, but
All right,
you did
happens.
a very nice job.
Thank you.
On that one on Take on Woods.
All I could think of was all apologies in my head, and I know that's not all apologies. Oh my God. Okay.
We've got Don't Do This coming up next. I actually have a do this. It involves Happy Gilmore.
Oh,
but not the one you're thinking. Well, kind of the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
It's a weird story. We'll get to that and more coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't do this.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
Why? How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't do this
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't forget, you can listen to Padres games on your smart speaker. Just tell your device to play 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's get going on Don't Do This on a Monday. And we will start with a very Ben-esque flub.
It was
here.
Ben-esque.
It came from the Toronto Blue Jays Oakland A's game from the distinctively voiced Buck Martinez. See if you can
Thank you for saying that, man.
listen and see if you can pick it out yourself without any help from us.
That's through the right side, a base hit. Chapman scampers around second. He's on his way to third. To have pressure from Toronto here with 2 down.
Gavin's had a little bit more opportunities lately to get into the lineup, and he's made the most of it. First of all, he started pitch hitting, and he started having some sacks. Well, this is in his wheelhouse. Anything down in a half, that's right in his happy zone.
His happy zone.
Whoa.
Pinch hitting, and he started having some what?
He started pitch hitting, and he started
Pitch
having
hitting.
some sacks.
He started pitch hitting, and he
He started pitch hitting, and he started having some sacks.
and he started having some sex. I'm always told not pregame because your legs.
Padres
get
are
tired.
clearly doing it wrong.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
started pitch hitting, and he started having some sacks.
He started pitch hitting, and he started having some sex.
This is in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Anything down inner half, that's
Yeah.
right in his happy zone.
But that's everybody's happy zone. Down inner half, that's my happy zone. That's Ben's happy zone. Paulie's happy zone. Anything down inner half, I'm in.
Exceptional.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonder if we should ask our wives if they'd be interested in some spitch hitting.
Hey, babe, it's me. Don't know what you are planning. I know it's Monday. I know it's Monday. Just relax. Any chance I could spitch hit later and get down inner half? You in? No.
He started pitch hitting, and he started having some sacks.
Let's have all the gentlemen in our audience right now do me a favor and text your wives. Any chance that I could get down inner half later and see what your wives say? You can post the screenshots at Ben and Woods Twitter. Any chance of me spitch hitting later? I want to get
Getting
down inner half. It's one of my favorite clips.
It's in the happy zone.
But yeah, I'm feeling like I need to get in the happy
This
zone.
is in his wheelhouse. Anything down inner half, that's right in his happy zone.
He is a massively uncomfortable listen. I mean, about it's massively as uncomfortable of a
He
listen.
started pitch hitting, and he started having some sacks.
Yeah, yeah, he is a really good spitch hitter because that. How do you follow that? It's amazing. This is all right. So I saw a lot of online debate about this. We all know the name Paul Skeens. This kid.
Do we all know that name
I think
yet?
if you like baseball, you know Paul Skeens. The kid is unbelievable. Pitcher for LSU. Just a total G. Could be the number 1 pick in the draft. We'll see. There's a lot of good players out there. Saw audio surface during a game. They were talking about Paul Skeens and his mindset. You guys make the call. D-bag or no D-bag?
Talking about the work ethic of Paul Skeens, Kate Belosa was sharing with us that Skeens goes around the locker room looking at teammates, pointing at him and saying, I outworked you. I outworked you. I outworked you. Pretty much every single day.
Cool.
Belosa told us. We said, well, is it like funny and guys are laughing about it? He said, no, he's not joking. He works that hard.
But it is still kind of funny.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it's
has to
funny,
be.
but it's true, and Skeens can pull it off because he's just that kind of dude.
Something you think you could pull off too,
No,
I think.
God, no. I would
You
never.
don't- You don't think you could do that?
Those of us that work hard don't need to tell people how hard we work.
I don't know. I mean, they're having a great season. They're 1 win away from an NCAA title, and he's been their best player.
I outwork
So you give some latitude to someone like
outwork
that.
you. It's just kind of like, when you get drafted, try that when you make it to the big leagues. See how that goes for you, Paul.
So they of course
No
needed
kidding.
Skeens to pitch the game against Wake Forest to get them to the final.
Correct.
Best of 3. The question is, will they throw him again today on 3 days rest in the
So-
championship game after the series was tied at a game apiece yesterday?
He went 8.
Florida with a 24-4 win.
He went 8 innings, struck out 9, gave up 2 hits. The National Player of the Year, tossed 120 pitches on 4 days rest. Now he's got 3 days rest. So there's a few different scenarios. They're talking he's going to come out of the bullpen. You don't go into an elimination game and not have Paul Skeens take the ball because, as he said, he outworks everyone.
You also don't want to take a potential number 1 overall draft pick and wreck his arm right before he's about to get paid for his big league career.
If you're the LSU head coach, do you care?
I don't know. Are
I think
you a
you
good
say
coach
that-
if you don't care?
I agree with you. I agree with you. What I'm saying is, if you lose that game tonight by a run or 2, and you had Paul Skeens sitting there 3 days rest. Now, I don't think you start him and ride him for 6 or 7 innings, right? I don't think anybody does that. But I mean, you got to go to him, and he's going to tell you, "I want the ball." And if like you said, he outworks everyone. Well, see, I mean, bro, it's just something like I appreciate that mindset, but I've also always appreciated kind of the quiet worker, the guy that's like, "Nah, man, I'm going to lead by example." That guy,
which he absolutely could do. He's very, very good.
Yeah,
like his performance speaks for itself.
Yeah, but telling his teammates is like pointing at well, I outwork you, I outwork you. I don't know. Congratulations, bro. I don't know. It's kind of feels a little bit DB to me.
All right, finally, a little do this for a Monday.
DD mega doo-doo.
You know, Wood sent an email to Paul and I last night.
You okay over there, Hacksaw?
With
a little a suggestion, like a tip on how to do radio better.
Wasn't from me.
I know, but
I
it was you forwarded it to.
I outworked you.
I'm going to try to
outworked
pull it
you.
off. I'm going to try to pull it off here. Here we go. Rarely does a high school player committing to play college golf make big news across the country. And even rarer still does Adam Sandler take note of it. But this tweet popped up over the weekend, said, "I'm very excited to announce that I have committed to continue my academic and golf career at Ball State University. I'm very grateful for the opportunity Coach Fleck has given me. I'd like to thank my family, my friends, and coaches who push me every day at Ball State Men's Golf." And that tweet was responded to by the one and only Adam Sandler. Why was it responded to by Adam Sandler? Well, the name of this college golfer to be at Ball State is Happy Gilmore.
Indeed.
Yep.
I like his parents,
Sandler
man.
said, "Go get him, Happy, pulling for you."
I like.
So Mr. and Mrs. Gilmore, about 17, 18 years ago.
So we
after
got to do this.
After the movie came out, right? Named their child Happy.
Happy.
And
You
he is
have to
now a golfer that will be playing at Ball State University.
Yeah, it has to be done. It has to be done.
I mean,
The last name's
you
Gilmore.
love bits.
I love bits.
Is your whole life going to be a bit if you're named Happy Gilmore and you go into golf and now have become a college golfer?
Is he a former hockey player?
I don't know. Did he have to start? Did they start
Well, I
him
can
in like
shoot.
youth hockey and then switch him over to golf at some point?
I don't know, but I've always been fascinated with Ball State for the obvious reasons. But also, David Letterman is its most notorious graduate,
Right.
and he has the David Letterman Scholarship at Ball State. You, Ben, would not have qualified for the David Letterman Scholarship. I alone would have qualified. It is given to those with a nice, firm C average.
Has to be
It
a
has to be a
student.
mediocre student to get the David Letterman Scholarship.
What a great scholarship.
Brilliant.
So how did I do? You sent me this article
You did
about
good.
how using pauses, dead air, dramatic pauses can be very effective.
I'm just happy you read it, actually. I'm very impressed
I
that you
did.
read it.
I read it and I tried to use it. I put it into use on the show today.
So it's from my old talent coach, Randy Lane. Coached me in my very first radio gig. Woodsy, it's Randy. That's how he talks. He's amazing. And I still get his little email. So I forward him on, maybe jar a memory or a bit or tell a good story. But I'm glad you read it. That makes me, I'm impressed.
I mean,
that
I
you
got
read
some
it.
work to do on it, but that was my first.
No, that was good.
Trying it out.
That
The
was really,
dramatic
really good.
pause, the dead air for a second.
Hey, it's Randy. Thanks for reading my email. That's very Buck Martinez. as well.
He also said when you transition from one topic to another, you can also use a pause or kind of a dead air stop.
He started pitch hitting and he started having some sacks.
Or you can put Buck Martinez in there.
To fill the space.
As we go to a break, I want to give out some Legion tickets. Promised those earlier. We now know their playoff opponent going to be the Seattle Seawolves, their big rival in the conference finals, the Western Conference MLR finals at Snapdragon Stadium on July 2nd. Tickets are on sale at sdlegion.com. They're 2 wins away from a championship. You can be there in person. If you'd like to win tickets for the game, call now, 833-288-0973. Dial fast. Paulie's going to take the second caller. Going to give you a pair of tickets to see the Legion take on the Seawolves in the Major League Rugby Western Conference Finals at Snapdragon. Call now, 833-288-0973. All right, we'll come back. We were both at Friday's game.
Yeah.
If like the last 2 games had been rained out, this would be a very happy Monday show. So I don't know what we're going to be able to say about Friday's game at this point, other than, it was a terrific game for the Padres.
Fantastic game.
It's coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Sour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Off. Got a number, I think, that's going to surprise Padres fans, especially those that are ready to throw in the towel.
I'm warning you.
What?
I'm warning you. Did you see my Instagram video yesterday?
I don't think I did.
I essentially said, if anyone, Ben, brings up the Braves or the Nationals again,
nope,
I'm going to stab them in the leg.
There will be no mention of the Braves or Nationals
with this pen
in my stat.
Like across the room, like bam, right in the leg.
None at all.
Wow. Okay. That I was hoping that wasn't the number.
It's still going to make you mad, though. You still might want to stab me.
If this is this a glass half full number?
No, not really. It's a glass 40% full number. We'll just say that.
Okay.
On get to it right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, I'm elated.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Vicky Pepper.
15 South at Center City, a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane. You're on your brakes from the 76. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Padres are 37-41. The loss yesterday assures that they will have a losing record in the first half of the season, the mathematical first half of the season. That will come after Thursday's game in Pittsburgh. So even if they won all three, they'd be 40-41. So losing record for the first half of the season. At 37-31, they are behind the Guardians, the Mariners, Cubs, Red Sox, Twins, Brewers, Phillies, Reds, Angels, Astros, Blue Jays, Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, Marlins, Diamondbacks, Rangers, Orioles, Braves, and Rays. I believe that's 17 teams that currently have a better record than the San Diego Padres. 12 make the playoffs at the end of the year. So there are quite a few teams that are closer to a playoff spot than the Padres that aren't even in the playoff position right now. So they got a lot of work cut out to make the postseason in the second half. And you go, why, Ben, why are you even talking about the playoffs? This team, so far from the playoffs, they can't sniff the playoffs. Well, after yesterday's loss, and they update it daily, the Fangraphs website continues to have playoff projections. What percentage chance each team has to make the postseason? San Diego Padres, maybe going to surprise you, check in at 40.7% right now to make the playoffs. Not good, but
no,
certainly not like, wow, they need to win the lottery Powerball to come back and make the playoffs. That's 4 in 10 chance. Not anywhere where I thought they'd be 98% by now after the first, half of the season, 20 games above 500, cruising. It would take, monumental collapse. Instead, Padres clearly have to play very good baseball the rest of the way to get to the playoffs, but Fangraphs at least thinks they're capable of it in a 4 out of 10 chance that is still going to happen for the San Diego Padres this season.
I mean, they got to get that number up, dude, to get people, re-bought in. And
I just think a lot of fans would think the number was like 12% right now.
No, I mean,
or something crazy low.
I will say this: Vegas has been way more high on the Padres than I think the people that watch them every single day are. I told you guys about, they had the odds against Patrick Corbin on Friday night. Normal Friday night game. You should beat him. So it's like minus 135. They bring up Matt Waldron, a rookie making his major league debut against Josiah Gray, and it was like minus 185 for the Padres. They were like, this one is actually a better fit to win than Friday nights, which I didn't really understand. And they ended up losing that game 2-0. But yesterday's too, buying heavy on the San Diego Padres. And are they watching? Do they see what's going on?
Maybe it's because 6 playoff teams in the National League. There are 6 teams in the National League that currently have a positive run differential, and the rest are negative. There's quite a bit of a jump between the positives and the negatives. The Braves are plus 107, Dodgers plus 47, Giants plus 45, Diamondbacks plus 36, Cubs plus 32, and Padres plus 31. And then you jump all the way to the Marlins at minus 15, the Reds at minus 15, the Phillies minus 16. There's a 50-run gap between the 6th best and 7th best team. That would tell you there's a pretty big delineation between the good teams, which for some reason includes the Cubs and the Padres, who both are a couple of games. The Cubs are 2 games under 500. The Padres are 4 games under 500. And the bad teams, which include the Marlins, who are 11 games over 500, and the Reds, who are red hot and 4 games over 500, and the Phillies, who are 3 games over 500. Usually those differential numbers translate into records over the course of a season.
You know, yes and no, but the reason why it's such a mirage is because you do throw up 13 runs in one night. You do throw up 10 runs in one night. And yes, you win those games. What is our record when we score 10 plus runs? I would imagine we're undefeated. Yes, I don't know.
Yes,
off the top of my head.
I believe we are, even in Mexico City.
Right. So that whole run difference, I look at the Padres run differential and I literally take it and I crumble it up and I throw it out the window because it means nothing. It means nothing.
Well, in this season, it does. Historically, it means everything.
Right.
It tells you whether your team's good, better than your record for a shorter period. It tells you whether your team's good or not, and that has been proven over and over again. That run differential is hugely important in evaluating whether a team is actually performing well or not. But that's what makes this Padres team so incredibly mystifying. And and it's games like Friday that have turned that stat and made it look like the Padres should be a good team.
It turns it into kind of a joke, to be honest with
Their
you.
expected win-loss record is 43-35, given the runs they've scored versus the runs they've allowed.
Yeah.
I'd still be a little disappointed in that, but
me too.
But no one would be saying that this, oh wow, this is a terrible team. If they were 43-35 right now, you'd be going, all right, but they not as great as we hope, but certainly they're right there with everybody. The Dodgers are projected to be 43-34. The Giants are projected to be 44-34. The Diamondbacks 43-36.
Right, you're
one
right
game
there
behind the Padres.
And that's the funny thing is Padre fans, for all of our expectations, honestly, man, we just asked you guys to play average baseball, just average, really, like average. You can't get to average. Average has avoided you. You have avoided average like the plague. You cannot get to that average mark of just 500. And all those teams are a bit above average. We're not asking for, and at this point, we're not even asking for an 11-game winning streak. We're asking you for 4, 5 that every other team has found a way to scratch out.
And I think it brings you to the construction of the team by general manager AJ Preller. And there's a lot of fans out there who I've seen the criticism right now. I agree with some of it. That this falls in the lap of AJ Preller, the lack of success for this team. He put this team together. Whatever it's missing is on the general manager more than anyone else.
The Bucks got to stop there. It has to.
A lot of people say, well, he needs to be more analytical. An analytical GM will say, I need to put together a team that scores more runs than it gives up. That's the kind of over the course of the season, the idea of putting together a team is I want to try to collect players that will score more runs than they give up. In that sense, AJ Preller has been moderately successful this year in putting together a team that scores more than it allows.
Just not enough.
So in that case, then you kind of point to, okay, what's going on in the clubhouse then? Why are they not getting the best out of their players in those close games? And then it goes on to the manager, Bob Melvin. But that's why you can't figure it out. I don't know where the blame lies. Is it on the general manager? Is it on the manager and the coaches, or is it just on the players for not coming through in those clutch situations?
So then you look at the piece that Kevin Acee just sent out, and you look at the numbers against the fastball, and you look at what guys have done the previous 2 seasons as opposed to this season. Xander Bogaerts, the last 2 years, a 326 average on the fastball.
I told you he could hit the fastball.
Not here. He's 226. He's 100 points lower. Carpenter's down a little bit, about 16 points. Cronenworth's down 49 points. Nelly Cruz is actually up, but he's rarely in there. Ha-Seong Kim is up about 14
Doesn't surprise
points.
me. He's having a really good year.
Machado's down, but not by as much as you would think. He's down by 0.04 points. Nola's down 158 points or something. Rougned Odor is up a little bit. Gary Sanchez is down a touch. Soto down on the fastball from 331 to 265. And our beloved Fernando Tatis Jr. is down about 20 some odd points on the fastball. And he maybe looked the worst of anybody yesterday. I mean, and the day before, late on the heater, which is just not like him. He usually punishes those. And so that is, when you look at that, Ben, who does that fall on? I tend to put it on the players because they're the ones up at the plate, seeing fastball, recognizing fastball and missing fastball. So I got to put it on them.
I saw Bogarts say, I struck out in my first at bat. I don't even know how I missed that pitch right down the middle.
Yeah.
They're baffled as it's a fastball down the middle. They've always hit it in their career. Why can't they hit it right now?
You saw massive frustration from Tatis yesterday, missing heaters down the D. This is just not a team that can do that and expect to win. You just 6 straight strikeouts to start the game, all on fastballs. I mean, holy cow. I mean, Crony taking a 3-1 fastball down the middle later in the game. Sweeney was talking about that after the game. It was a really good point. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You mentioned that Ha-Seong Kim's numbers against the fastball are up by, I think, 14 points.
Yeah.
Wow. He's having a really good season. On Friday, of course, he led off the game with a home run. I like that lineup switch to get him to the top of the order.
Yeah, but then nothing happened Saturday. Nothing happened yesterday.
Well, I mean, and he had another 2-run single in the 5th inning, and at least he had a home run yesterday. I know it came late in the game, but
garbage time.
He's still. To me, Ha-Seong Kim has been everything the Padres have hoped that he would be when they signed him from Korea. It took a while,
no question,
but Ha-Seong Kim has more than justified the investment that AJ Preller made in him a couple of seasons ago.
I couldn't agree more. And I love Ha-Seong Kim. It's not an indictment on him. But that lineup that you turned in on Friday came out and put up a ton of runs. And it was great. And they were talking about, lengthens this lineup and you get guys moving down. And that's good. I agree 100%. 100%. But, yesterday, perfect example. You set the tone, strike out on 3 pitches, essentially. Yes, you did get the late garbage time home run, but, what works on Friday doesn't necessarily work on Saturday and Sunday. And the offensive output we saw yesterday and the day before, it's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. And again, you're not running against, we don't know these guys. I mean, they brought these guys up from AAA and, they throw 103, man. You have to tip your hat to those guys sometimes. No, I don't have to tip my hat to Josiah Gray. He's pedestrian. And the dude yesterday, pedestrian. The bullpen guys trying to give you a game yesterday. Their defense trying to give you.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference between yesterday and Friday, get Friday, 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Yesterday, I think 2 for 9. And,
have you guys ever seen, as an aside, have you guys ever seen more big leaguers in the same lineup that try to walk down to first on a strike in your entire life? I never have. Ha-Seong Kim did it. Soto does it all the time. Tatis did it. I've seen Manny do it. These balls are down the middle. And these guys are like, whoo, walked me. They're me. We have a lineup of me. It's the whole lineup made up of me. I'm terrified. I'm going to try to get a walker on a bunt. I don't understand. I'm going to miss the fastball by a foot. It's me. You have a lineup of Woods, up and down the lineup. I've never seen anything like it. Guys are literally, whoo.
You're saying psychologically it looks like they're not confident, that they don't want to be up there swinging.
Dude.
They are hoping to take a walk rather than hoping to swing the bat.
Get up there and embarrass yourself if you have to. But embarrass yourself. Go down fighting. Go down swinging. Something.
I felt like most of the strikeouts yesterday were swinging, not looking. They didn't take the fastballs down the middle.
Oh, they took a ton of fastballs down the middle. Maybe not for the
third strike, but earlier in the count.
They also were taking fastballs down the middle and trying to walk down to first base like they're trying to buy themselves a walk. And I understand getting guys on is massively important. Not when nobody can hit. It doesn't matter. And that we've seen it time after time after time. Plenty of guys on. Nobody wants the big hit. Nobody wants to drive those runs in. I saw it. I must have seen it 10 times this weekend. Ball on the corner, and they're like, oh, really? No, dude, it's there. It's right there. That's a strike. And every one of them should be embarrassed. Every one of them.
I think what's a shame now is that even when something good happens, like Xander Bogaerts hit his first home run in a month when we were there on Friday.
100%.
And you want to
really
really
change up, and he just was right on it.
You want to think that when you see something good, that the tide is turning, that the guy's about to get hot, the team's about to go on a run. And we've been burned so many times by that this season that it's almost hard to get excited when something good happens. Because now you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
You're like, yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
They win one game. You're like, oh, great. Prove it again. They drop the next 2, and you're like, this is what I've been talking about. It sucks. And again, it's a hard line to toe between I know how hard it is to hit, and you guys are literally the best hitters in the world. And by the way, you're all paid. You're all paid like the best hitters in the world. All of them. They are paid well. Maybe too well, but they are paid well to hit fastballs, and they're not doing it. They're 100 points lower than their career average in a lot of cases. That's not going to cut it. It's just not. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know, but they certainly are paid to hit a lot better than they do. And this city, these fans that pack that joint every night, bro, what is our record at home? You cannot lose a series to the Nationals at home.
They've lost to the Royals and the Nationals series at home this year.
It just can't happen.
All right, we'll come back. We got a couple of guests in our second half. Jake Mintz always keeps it fun from Cespedes Family Barbecue at 8:35. In-season Sammy, 9:35. Lots to get to. It's a Monday. It's kind of an up and down Monday for us here. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Monday. It's June 26th. Calendar is actually about to flip to July. My favorite month, actually. Well, no, I like December. We don't work a lot in December, so that's fun. But July's fun. My birthday's in July. You've got July 4th, patriotism, fireworks.
Favorite month? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I like July. Because the All-Star break hits, you get the home run derby, you get the All-Star game. I love the All-Star game. Probably won't see many of our guys in it. You get the All-Star game, get a couple days reprieve of beating yourself up about this baseball team. And then, you cruise, and it's time to get cranked up, with the second half of the season and all that. But yeah, I got my birthday in July. My brother's birthday's in July. I just like July.
I don't think
like
July.
halfway
I don't
home.
think July would be my pick.
No.
I tend to. I like the more shoulder months, like as spring turns into summer, April or October as summer turns into fall.
I like those.
I like the weather in those months, just how it feels. October playoff time.
Yeah.
It's
Could be a rough one this
yeah.
October. Could be a rough one.
Well, I mean, there will be playoffs.
Yeah,
don't know
we'll
whether
watch
the
them.
Padres will be in them.
Be
I've
all
lived
about
through plenty of years in which the Padres had nothing to do with the postseason, and
With
I
the-
still like October as a month.
Are you going to like it as much with a $250 million payroll not watching or not seeing your team in it? It's going to be tough. A little tougher to stomach, I think.
It's always tough to stomach.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, you'd rather have your team be there than not. I will be more disappointed, but I don't think it ultimately will change the games or the matchups of who is playing.
Maybe it frees us all up to just enjoy the playoffs this year. Isn't that nice? I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Oh, good morning.
Benjamin R. Higgins to my left, friendly neighborhood sports anchor. I started watching a show that our pal Craig Elston recommended. Have either of you or any of you out there watched the show on Apple called Silo?
No, I see a lot of promoted ads for it on my Twitter feed, but I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't gotten around to it.
Now
he
it's-
mentioned it though.
Yeah,
I
he
think,
did. Yeah, it's a bit dystopian. Kind of the world has ended. It's like
It's not usually your
it's not
your
really
cup of tea.
Is it
I
like,
think.
is it post-apocalyptic?
Yes. We don't really know, Paulie, what exactly is going on, other than all these people live in a massive, giant silo. And you wonder what is going on outside. Is it a big conspiracy theory? And there's a little sci-fi to it. So I'm fighting my way through it because, as you know, I do not do sci-fi.
No.
It's dystopian, and a different reality also is a little bit tougher for me. But I've really, really enjoyed it. But again, not one of those shows I can watch and drift off to bed watching because it's very, very intense. But it's been very good.
You said that about The Bear last week.
Bear is impossible.
I finally started The Bear.
The first season?
First couple episodes of the first season, and I did enjoy those first two episodes and getting to know Carmine and the crew at the Beef.
Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 episodes into season 2 over the weekend. I love it. It's such a well done show. The actors all do an amazing job.
Correct.
But it also triggers me a little bit.
Yeah, because
I worked in
kitchen.
a restaurant.
Now, you've never worked in a restaurant, Benjamin.
Never.
So I wonder if that's why you don't like it.
It would hit differently.
Or maybe
I do like it.
Oh, you do like
No,
it.
I've liked it so far. Yeah.
Okay. Now you guys both
And I get to hear it from my wife who works in a restaurant now. So
you
know.
guys both hate The Office, which is maddening to me. But did you ever work in an office? I don't think you have. Not
never
like
never
that.
worked in an office either.
Not like that one.
Like a sales
Yeah.
office.
No.
See, you guys are missing out. Really?
Are we really?
sheltered?
Are
both
we
of you.
missing?
Yeah,
out? I
yeah.
feel like maybe.
Now I've
maybe
never.
we have. Maybe it's for the best that we never had to subject ourselves to that.
I've never lived in a silo.
No,
but I'm enjoying Silo very much. It's very, very well done, well acted. Rashida Jones.
I've never sold meth, but I enjoyed Breaking Bad.
Yeah, true. It's true. I was never in the mafia, but I still love The Sopranos as much as I want to be.
I was going to ask you. My wife over the weekend said, I never watched The Sopranos. I think I'm ready to start it.
Okay. I'll do it with you guys.
I said, okay. I actually have not gone episode by episode through the entire thing. I know the storyline. I've seen probably 80% of the episodes in random order or whatever over the years.
Start over.
I've tried several times start to finish, and I never make it past like season 2.
No,
because season 1, the
setup.
The therapy scenes kill me. And I know it's a setup. I know that I've seen enough good TV shows to know, yeah, you can't just come out guns blazing episode 1, season 1.
I definitely like the mafia stuff in it, and I like the family stuff in it.
I was
with
telling
him
you,
and his kids and stuff is great.
I would
The
almost
therapist scenes are
guarantee.
tough.
I would almost guarantee there's a website out there that has it like kind of mapped out. Like, hey, if you want to really get through it, yeah, you could probably skip this episode, or you could.
You need
skip
to watch it though.
half of this
I'm
episode.
telling you, you
start
have
on
to-
this minute.
I can do it for you, but you need to watch it in its entirety. It's because in therapy is where at the end of the deal you kind of realize what the whole therapy thing was about, and you go, oh god, oh no, he's actually gaining power, like he's getting worse. It's great. Not to spoil anything for you guys, the show's 100 years old. I don't think I'm spoiling it for you, but you find at the end all of his therapy has really been for naught, and has made him a better criminal. And it's really, really good, Paulie.
Some people don't like rewatching shows, going back and, hey, I've already seen this. Why would I do it again? I think you're missing out if you don't do that.
Yeah,
though,
you pick up a
because
lot.
when you go back and rewatch, knowing where the story leads and where the characters lead, and then you go back to the beginning and you get to see how different. So some of the characters you forget over, when a show like The Sopranos, what did it run, like 7 seasons? When it runs for that long, you sort of forget what the characters were like at the beginning and how they changed. And when you go back and start at the beginning, it's a little jarring, but I think it gives you a really better perspective of the story and, where they were and where they went to. Some shows that didn't have a vision, you go back and you're kind of confused. Like seems like a totally different person because they changed the character so much. But the best shows like The Sopranos, it's a very gradual change from who they are at the beginning to who they are at the end. And I love when a show pulls it off. And I think The Sopranos did that brilliantly with Tony Soprano over the course of how many seasons it
Do you
ran.
think shows like that, of that caliber, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, whatever, does the writer know how the story ends?
Well, Game of Thrones is
they-
based on a book.
Okay.
So, that I think that
Fair,
can help
good point.
sometimes because you
Let's
already
take
have
The
it all mapped
Sopranos
out.
or Breaking Bad,
No.
for example. Do they
No.
when
David
they
Chase.
go to their people to pitch this show?
No, it's just it
It de-
grows.
it develops,
evolves,
right,
yeah,
over time.
It evolves, and you think of like there's a storyline where a guy named by the name of Vito, right? Vito, he's in the closet, right? But he also loses this tremendous amount of weight, and that was based on a real mobster in real mob history who actually was in the closet, lost a tremendous amount of weight. They just took that storyline, put it right in there. And it worked. It worked really, really well. Paulie, when you guys please start it tonight. I'm begging you. Have Megan text me anything she needs help with as far as the vernacular. Like I was telling Bo this weekend about the Picharu, and the Picharu is the bathroom. And he was dying, so now he calls it the Picharu. So
Now,
that's
what is gabagool? I know it's
gabagool.
something to eat.
It's capicola.
Oh, it's like
It's
a lunch
capicola.
meat.
It's lunch meat, but they call it gabagool. Capicola gabagool. Yeah, there's some words I can't say on the radio. 'Cause
Right.
They're racist.
I was
but
I knew it was something they were eating. and I was never
Stunad
quite-
means stupid. Statazi means quiet, shut up. Like Statazi, but nobody wants to hear about the Braves and the Nationals
Got it.
again. We get it. They want a World
Statazi.
Series. Statazi. So if you guys want, I'm available 24 hours a day to
Gravy
talk Sopranos.
is
Gravy
tomato
is
sauce.
tomato sauce, and yeah. So when you're ready, let me know.
I got you.
All right. So Zabalion, it's just very soft wine custard. It's delicious. Shvuyadel, there's delicious pastries. I get a Shvuyadel when I go get food. Where's our place we like?
Rosanna's.
Rosanna's.
Yeah.
They got Shvuyadel.
They're right there. Yeah, they're hard to resist.
It's incredible.
And then I woke up the next day and got some gabagool. Keep waking up, keep getting different types of gabagool.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
It's one of my favorite mashups of all time.
I was like, this sounds
Listen,
different.
here you go.
Give me more. I need.
Woke up this morning, got some gabagool. And then I woke up the next day and got some gabagool. Keep waking up, keep getting different types of gabagool. Even got some gabagool from Scooby-Doo.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
I'd rather get gabagool than a gun. So.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
Sure. Need to hit the Picharoo in a minute. So.
All right, we've got Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a grand old Monday coming up at the bottom of the hour at 8:35. And in-season Sammy, I'll guess on Bennett Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Padres actually set a target. They rarely do that in the middle of the season either. But before the Padres started their series against the Nationals this weekend, in the clubhouse, they said, we want to go 10-5 over the last 15 before the All-Star break. 5 series. If we win them all, 2 out of 3, that's 10-5. That would have left the Padres, just as Craig Elston had said on our show many, many weeks ago, 2 games above 500 at the All-Star break.
Is that what he called it, the All-Star break?
Yeah.
2 games above 500.
That's what he was calling for, that the Padres needed to do that to get to that point. Obviously, after losing 2 out of 3, they need to do a little bit better. They need to go 9-3 now over their last 12 to get to 2 games above 500, or 8-4 to get to 500 at the All-Star break. So they'd have to win all 4 of their series at the minimum, or at least an average of winning all 4 series to get to 500, or even do better than that and sweep 1 or 2 to get above 500 at the All-Star break.
You know, the worst thing about prognosticating this team is we all looked at the schedule, and make no mistake about it, Padres had a really difficult beginning of the year. A lot of games against some really good teams. And then we all kind of penciled in the soft part of the schedule. There's no soft spots. When you lose to the Royals, when you lose to the Nationals, there's no soft spot in your schedule. You're making these soft spots way harder than they have to be.
3 against the Pirates, 3 against the red-hot Cincinnati Reds, back home for 3 against the Angels, and then the World Series of mid against the Mets.
Yeah, well, I mean,
mid v mid.
The next 3 games, as you said, Woods, when you have your top 3 pitchers in Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove going against a team that has lost 12 of 13, there you absolutely feel like you should dominate that series. But I don't know a Padres fan alive who doesn't think the Padres aren't going to give up at least one of these games.
Correct.
For whatever reason, because they don't hit the fastball, they don't hit with runners in scoring position. They end up losing 2-1 one of these games. And probably 2 of them because they're on the road for whatever reason. That's just been the theme all season long. But you got Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove going against a team that is absolutely going down the toilet in the month of June. Your expectations should be very high. I think it's weird. Well, it's not weird. It's interesting that they set that goal, though, of 10-5. A lot of people would say, just go out and win the next game. Just go out and win 1 at a time.
Buddy.
Why go 10-5? At the same time, when you're like in a playoff series and you got to win best of 5 or best of 7, you got a very clear goal. We don't have to win all of the games. We need to win 3 out of 5, or we need to win 4 out of 7. Sometimes that can focus you in when you feel like you got a bit of a deadline. You can't lose more than this. You've got your backs to the wall. You play a little more urgently, perhaps. Harder if possible, and maybe that's what the Padres are aiming for over these last now 12 games before the All-Star break, is set a target that you feel like if you miss it, there's consequences. Now in the playoffs, the consequences are your season's over.
Yeah.
If you miss your target, Padres season won't be over if they miss their target at the All-Star break, but at some point it will be. You may not know it, but at some point the season will be over if you continue to miss these targets.
Like even writing down that you're going to lose 5 games is ridiculous. Just it's 1-0. Win today. Let everything else fall into place. Win today.
But I think that's what they
motto.
I feel like that's what they've been trying for the first 70 plus games, and that hasn't necessarily worked. The one day, let's just win 1. So now they are trying something different, and it's like, all right, let's set a target for the rest of the first half of the season.
We talked
let's
about
win
it.
10 out of 15.
We talked about it. Was it last week with Josh Hader not able to go for 3 days in a row? And I'm like, okay, you're telling me in a playoff series? Well, that's the playoffs. Of course, it's win by any means necessary. Right. Worry about tomorrow. I mean, Bob kind of alluded to that idea in his post-game interview yesterday, saying like, it's the balance of planning for the next 3 months versus having to win every single game and almost like treat it like it's a game 7 or a 1-game playoff.
Yeah, and if you had a bullpen that you could trust and rely on, you could actually you could say Hader's down. No worries though. I got Luis Garcia locked in, or I've got so and so locked in. We don't need Hader today. He needs a break. He's going to take a breather. He's going to go the next 2 games if we need him. Yeah, I mean that's you don't have anybody. Everybody you throw in, Morejon, he pitched really good in a blowout. Then he was terrible yesterday. Garcia got through it, but my God, was it dicey. But again, you're talking about a blowout. Timmy Hill had a really rough day yesterday. Brent Honeywell gives up a run, as he always does. Who are you going to? Who are you going to in the event that Hader managed to get you 2 saves in a row, but your offense scratched out 3 runs and you're clinging to a 1-run lead? Who do you go to? Who is it? How's that on Bob? How's that on Ruben? There's nobody down there. There's nobody down there. That's why the long streak is only.
Well, there's nobody down there you trust.
Correct. In a close game,
like Luis Garcia, ever since he blew the save, has been perfect
in mop up.
He's been perfect.
And
in mop
so,
up.
but the it's so evident. It's so evident. The only way you're going to win 10, 11 in a row, the only way is by winning those games 10-6, 12-1. You're going to have to blow teams
Which is
out.
how most teams go on long winning streaks.
Not necessarily.
They win a couple of close ones,
games,
and then they blow someone out, and they win a couple of close ones, and they blow someone out. That's how winning streaks happen.
We're not built for a winning streak.
It's not unusual.
We're not built for a winning streak.
What kind of team is built for a winning streak then?
A team with a better back end of their bullpen. Like you get Robert Suarez back, different story. Robert Suarez can come back, and if you need him, Wilson can pitch the 9th if you need to. But you got to score. You got to score. You got to score. You got to score.
I
and
don't
when
disagree.
They don't,
that certainly would help to have another high leverage arm late in games. It's just hard to blame a bullpen that ranks near the top in baseball.
But that's like saying the run differential means something. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. You had 2 games. You had 2 games in Mexico where you put up a buttload of runs, and then every win you win by 10. But every loss you lose by 1. The run differential means nothing to me right now. It's a mirage. It is just a mirage. That's all it is. And the bullpen numbers, they're pretty much a mirage, swayed by guys like Steven Wilson, swayed by guys like Josh Hader. But it's a mirage too. The starting pitching has been really good. Defense has been spectacular. But the other 2 pieces are kind of missing right now, which is why they're just not set up for a run, Ben, unless they outslug every team.
Speaking of Josh Hader, is his time with the Padres nearing an end if the team doesn't turn it around? Got to talk about the consequences to underperforming and the trade deadline looming. We'll get to that coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. You're stirring things up on our YouTube chat, Woods. Talking a bit about the trade deadline coming up. And if the Padres don't turn things around very quickly, I would argue that it's almost irresponsible not to trade away a guy like Josh Hader, who there's no point in having a top flight closer for a team that's not going anywhere. And you could get some value for him in return, just like the Brewers tried to do last year. I mean, they were still going somewhere. They traded Hader.
Yeah.
The Padres don't get above 500, don't get into a wild card chase. What's the point of having a closer? You're not winning that many games to begin with at the end where you need him. And even if you did, it might not matter in August or September.
What's that say to this fan base if, in a month from now, they're shopping Josh Hader? It's
well, I mean, it would say that they're at least trying to do the right and smart thing given the circumstances. Is it smart to wildly chase something that you can't attain and spend even more resources, trade more prospects for rental players that aren't going to put you over the top and put you in an even worse situation for next year? Or at some point you say, all right, we thought it was going to happen this year. It's not. We need to start putting ourselves in a better position for next year by reloading our farm system with trades and give us more flexibility in the offseason.
Listen,
that's not the Padre way. That's the only way it ever makes sense to run a baseball team.
They talked. No, when I get
if
it.
You're out of it. You don't sell off your players that are about to be free agents.
But listen,
how would it make sense to not do that?
They're talking about it yesterday, and you said it. The Brewers were in a better position than the Padres are now, obviously, when they sold off Josh Hader. You saw what it did to that clubhouse. Do we have the most?
Well, I'm not saying you trade Josh Hader if you still think you've got a decent shot at it.
But what's a decent shot? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't.
That remains something that's in the eye of the beholder.
There's got to be a number, right? In AJ's mind, there's got to be a deficit number.
Do we have the clubhouse that screams intestinal fortitude to you guys that would say, "Oh, that's cool. Josh Hader's gone. Don't worry, we'll rally. We'll figure it out. Maybe Drew Carlton can close games."
It's a bitter pill because if the team acknowledges that I don't think we have it, the fans will obviously follow suit. And they will, of course, go, well, if they're trading away Hader and maybe other pieces that are going to be free agents, Blake Snell is pitching great right now. He's a free agent at the end of the year, would obviously fetch something on the trade market. You're telling your fan base and your players and your coaches, we're not doing it this year. I mean, we'll play the rest of the games, but clearly you're putting the white flag up if you make those trades. But it's also the right decision. If you keep Josh Hader and Blake Snell all season long and you don't make the playoffs, you get nothing for them in return. I mean, you can sign them as a free agent just like everybody else can, but you get nothing. You get no players. You get nothing that could help you next year. A young guy who might be ready to produce next year, or more guys that you could trade in the offseason, flip for a player, fill a hole that you need in the offseason. You get nothing if you keep those guys after the trade deadline and they're not part of a playoff run because you're not in a playoff
you're also
run.
Saying our window's closed.
No, you're not.
You're
trying. No, absolutely not.
Can you win a World Series with Josh Hader as your closer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. That's the guy I want. Last inning, need 3 outs to win a World Series.
But
Josh
this
Hader.
is the only year they have Josh Hader.
So the window's closed.
You could
doesn't have to be.
You could pick up another closer next year, whether it's Hader or someone else.
But you could. I mean, technically,
you could trade Hader and
you could extend Josh Hader.
You could trade Hader and re-sign him in the offseason to a free agent contract as well.
You could,
and have players to, that you had acquired for him and keep him in the offseason.
Sure.
That's why there's really no argument that says if you're really giving up on the season, you have to trade Josh Hader. You really should trade Blake Snell. And you probably think about trading Juan Soto. Now, Soto's a different case. He's still under contract for another year, and you want to keep that window open. You think Soto's your best chance to do so, then you hold on to him. But, absolutely any guy who's a free agent at the end of this year, when that day comes that you raise the white flag, they're all on the market.
Sure, I guess.
I just don't see a return for any of those guys that helps your World Series window stay open. It helps bolster your farm system, but they're not.
Well,
how do you know?
The entire team from the Padres has been built by trading farm players, arms, whatever, for major league talent. They don't have enough right now to probably make a lot of those moves. If they traded Hader, and Snell, they might get 7 or 8, exciting minor leaguers that they
So
could
we're
trade in the
raising-
offseason for someone.
We're gonna
for a-
move
I
the
get it, but
goalposts.
we're raising the flag of, hey, we've rebuilt our system from the 23rd to the 17th. It didn't work out in our favor, but we're stocked. And 2027, 28 is going to be
No, I'm
electric.
talking 2024. How do you win in 2024?
I think Josh Hader helps you win in
Well,
2024.
then you have to re-sign him.
Right.
Or better yet, trade him and then re-sign him.
Sure.
That would be the best possible, because then you could trade the guys that you acquired for Hader to fill one hole, and you can sign Hader to fill another hole. But you get nothing for him.
Yeah,
at
but then
end
you
of
run the
season.
risk of putting him onto free agency. If you just extend him, he doesn't hit free agency.
Correct. Yeah, I think Josh Hader
was
look at all
signing
the
Josh Hader
extensions we're
long-term
handing out.
ever the plan. Wasn't Suarez always supposed to be the closer?
That's kind of what we
of
thought.
the future for the Padres.
That's kind of what we thought when they committed all that money to him. But again, it's throwing. I don't even think it's throwing good money after bad. Right now, the Suarez deal looks terrible because he hasn't pitched. It looks like the Pomeranz deal. He hasn't picked up a baseball this year, and it's really, really.
He's
hurt
throwing
us.
right now, though. He is throwing.
I
right
understand,
now.
but in the big leagues, he has not picked up a
I've
baseball.
heard that before.
We've heard it before. The other part of it is, and it's tough to say, but is AJ Preller the guy you want making these decisions at the break? I don't think we have a choice. What do we get back that makes us all like that's going to be? I don't care how you look at it. It's going to be a bummer of a day if they ship off Josh Hader. And that says to us, and by the way, if we feel it, you know who else feels it? Every guy in that clubhouse went, man, we blew this thing. We absolutely blew this
100%.
thing. It sucks.
100%.
And I did not think we would get there this year.
And I'm not ready to go there yet, but I mean, they're a
You
month
have to
away.
think about it.
You
I
have to
get
start
it.
thinking about it.
And trust me, they are. They are.
All right,
You're right.
We'll
You're
pick
right.
up this conversation again, but we got Jake Mintz standing by from Cespedes Family Barbecue. It was a big weekend around the big leagues. We'll cover it all with Jake coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Big O Tires. The biggest 4th of July celebration is at your local Big O Tires. Now save up to $140 by rebate on select sets of 4 Bridgestone and Firestone tires with paid installation. Plus, receive a free conventional oil change, too, through July 4th at your local Big O Tires.
So I don't log on to the Ben and Woods Twitter page really ever at all. I wanted to just now because I still have the Ben and Woods. It's not on my phone, so I never do it at home. But I got a tweet that says, Ben is the only reasonable, smart person on that show. Woods arguing against trading everyone when the team S the bed is idiotic. The guy's handle is Fire Preller. Buddy, who do you think's going to make those trades? I want you to sit for a minute, and I want you to think this through. Your name is Fire Preller. Fire him. But you want him to make these trades of Josh Hader and Juan Soto and Blake Snell, but you want him fired? So if he's the problem, why do you want him pulling those strings? Smarten up. Smarten up.
So
I mean, this is why I effing
So we're
hate
not
Twitter.
allowed to make any moves at all, and even if AJ Preller is the GM for the next 8 years, you can't make any moves at all. Or, I mean, he's going to be the guy making those moves, correct?
I guess. We'll see.
All right. We will talk to Jake from
Fire
Cespedes
Preller.
Family Barbecue right after this.
But after he trades away our guy.
Check of traffic on
Genius.
97.3 The Fan.
Genius.
From the premier
Smart
Kia
enough.
of Carlsbad Traffic Center, one of the premier auto family. Here's Vicky Pepper.
Your major trouble spot this morning is still the 15 south as you come into Escondido. It's sluggish from the 76 to the 78. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I'll just quickly say, as we bring on Jake, I trust a GM who's on the hot seat. I don't even know that AJ Preller is on the hot seat. Peter Seidler would probably disagree with that statement. But I trust him more to trade away players to get prospects than I would to have him trade more prospects to try to maybe save his job and acquire players that don't get the job done.
Such a great operating space for people to work in. Just like, I trust you to do half of your job, not the other half.
Well, that's why you never put a GM on the hot seat. Is they're going to do their worst work when they feel like they're GMing for their job.
Yeah, you almost need to tell them, no, you're good.
You're good. Until the day they're not, you tell them you're good. And with that, let's bring on someone who's you're definitely good. Jake from Cespedes
Jake's
Family
good.
Barbecue. You're totally good. We're not lying to your face. Your job is very safe with us on Mondays, Jake.
Wow, you guys seem to be doing really great out there. Oh, yeah. Very positive, level-headed Monday morning in the San Diego sports world.
Well, we just dropped 2 of 3 to the Nationals at home and got bodied. Shut out one game and just bodied the next by the likes of Joey Meneses and some other dude I never heard of, and Heimer Candelario and Dom Smith.
I think it's a hard
That pitcher
Jeimer.
that's through is pretty good. Maybe you get him in a trade.
Good Lord, man.
That Gore guy, he was solid.
Yeah, maybe
What do
we
you
could
think?
trade him.
Send
Trade for him.
Juan Soto
Juan
for him?
Soto for him, maybe. I mean, holy smokes. What a week.
This is so I'm on here right every other week, and this is the worst I've heard you guys. Like, this is the most
Thanks, Jake.
hopeless I've heard.
It's about as bad as
Usually
it's
you are
been.
the voice of reason.
No.
And right now, there's just a level of anger and frustration that I've yet to really hear from Ben and Woods. It's actually kind of refreshing to know you are living in the real world.
Just
Thanks.
livid, man. Just livid.
You were just echoing our fan base out there right now.
Well, we
Jake.
also threatened Ben that if he came in this morning and said, 3 years ago, the Nationals record at this point was this, and the Braves record was this, and they both went on to win this World Series. We said we'd stab him.
Like, I threatened violence.
No, this team's kind of stinks, man.
Yeah, they stink. That's
Well,
what I said.
I will mention the Braves in this. What a weekend series against the Cincinnati Reds, Jake. 2 teams, one the best record in baseball, the other the longest winning streak in baseball. They go at it 3 times. Every game is decided by a run. One of those rare series that actually lives up to the hype.
Yeah, it was phenomenal baseball, just as we all predicted at Great American Ballpark. The Reds are must-see TV.
They are.
If you are a Padres fan and you want to relive the exhilaration of young Fernando Tatis before the world fell upon his shoulders and he made some mistakes, I know he's still one of the most entertaining players in the world. The Ellie De La Cruz show is that. The Reds are playing baseball with a unbridled level of optimism right now. they are playing with their hair on fire, with the whole world in front of them. Something that the Padres should just go watch some Reds games. They don't need
They're going to this week.
Yeah, they'll see them this week. Should go great.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that'll go swimmingly. But they shouldn't even play. They should forfeit all 3 and just watch the Reds play someone else.
Watch them play, take BP.
The energy and urgency that the Reds are playing with right now is really inspiring, and I would imagine for Padres fans would be really debilitating.
Yes, very much so. And I loved. I brought it up briefly last week. I think we were like walking out the door on Friday, but Joey Votto, come back. He came back, hit a bomb in his first game, drove in a couple runs, and he said, no, man, I'm fighting for a spot on this team. I love this. He goes, I've never seen the energy like we've had here in Cincinnati since I've been here. And he's been a part of some pretty decent teams that made, a kind of a half-ass run there. And he said, no, this is different. I am not the old guy coming in, getting my spot. I'm fighting my ass off for a job. And I thought, well, that's certainly refreshing and something that you just don't hear.
Votto is a special person
and
a special player. He has a very unique perspective on the sport and where he fits into it. He knows he's a Hall of Famer and one of the best hitters of a generation, but yet he understands his role in the current Reds process, where he felt like he needs to produce to be a meaningful member of this team. And something he said time and time again that I find really interesting is he says, I'm a Reds fan. I want this team to succeed. I'm rooting for them. And because he's spent so much time on the shelf with injuries, like, he is watching the Reds like a fan. And I think that has given him a new appreciation for being on the roster.
Joey also acknowledges that the game keeps getting better and better and athletes more and more talented. He said, Elly De La Cruz, I mean, like a young Mickey Mantle on the switch hitting, the kind of talent that he has. And he knows that that's not really fair to compare him to one of the best players of all time. But he also goes, I think these guys are better than, I was when I was getting started. And he's a Hall of Famer. So he acknowledges that players are getting faster and stronger and pitchers are throwing harder. And the game is getting tougher for many of them, Jake.
My favorite thing that Joey said, he was like, my favorite player in baseball is Ronald Acuna Jr., and Elly might be making a run at that. I love the honesty there. It would be very easy for Joey to say, oh, Elly's now my favorite player more than the guy we're playing this weekend. But no, Joey's like, Elly needs to prove it a little bit more to jump Acuna in my rankings.
Yeah, they got some good players. They got some good players on that team. They got some good young arms. And, we've talked to your partner, Jordan, about this. Jake, wanted to get your take on it as we are now. I didn't know we would get to the point of on June 26th talking about the returns that we could get for all of our impending free agents. But alas, the record has led us there. A lot of people around baseball saying, look, there's a lot of teams going to be in it. A lot of teams need a closer or a bat or something. What's your kind of take right now as we stand on the trade deadline this year?
We don't know yet. We don't know anything on June 26th because, the Padres are 6.5 back. And I know that feels like a lot, but it's not. If they are 3.5 back in 3 weeks, you can't pull the plug. But if they're 9.5 back in a month, then you can, right? And so I think it is kind of pointless to discuss this right now on June 26th. You can hypothesize and dream about who might come back in a trade and whatever, but I would be very surprised if the Padres blew it up. I think they've tied themselves to this group for better or for very much worse. Yeah. And I think they're going to go down with the ship. I don't expect them to sell.
Talking to Jake Mintz from the Cespedes Family Barbecue podcast, brought to you each Monday by our friends at Grand Ole Barbecue, North Park, out at Flynn Springs in the ballpark. And, I mean, at least we can lay claim to the Padres being the most expensive, underperforming mess in baseball. Oh, no, wait, we can't even do that because that honor belongs to the New York Mets, who are somehow even more expensive and worse than the Padres. Jake, how did that happen?
It's so funny. Right? You can't even have that. How sad. The 2023 Mets are, I would say, like, the Padres are frustrating because they can't get out of their own way. Like, they just can't put their foot on the gas. The Mets are they're the equivalent of the scene in The Office where they drop the chili on
the chili. They're the chili scene.
They're the chili scene. The 2023 Mets are the chili scene, but if the chili had truffles and gold leaf in it.
Yes.
Because they're running a payroll right above $400 million effectively.
Oh, my God.
And they have a worse record than the Padres. So everything Padres fans are feeling, remember, there's someone across the country who has it slightly worse than you.
By the way,
right?
with a much tougher media in New York. It's amazing they're not winning because their media is very difficult on them.
Here's the thing about the Mets, right? To me, it's this simple. If you build a boat out of old wood, don't be surprised when it starts to sink. Okay, this pitching rotation, everybody is over the age of 30. Scherzer is 38. Verlander is 40. Carrasco is 36. And we're surprised that they're missing time and they're being ineffective. This is what happens, man. Like, duh, we can't be shocked here. Now, the offense is underwhelmed. Lindor, McNeil, Marte, and Vogelbach have all taken a big step back. The rookies have been solid, but not superb. Pete Alonso is one of the best hitters in the world. Brandon Nimmo stayed consistent. But this Mets team just does not inspire confidence. And I'll say this. I trust the Padres to figure it out way more than I trust the Mets.
Wow. Makes me feel a little better.
You know, the team that I actually think may be more of a comparison, and they have a better record than the Padres. They have a winning record. But I look at the Los Angeles Angels right now. I mean, I got tweets this weekend when they scored 24 runs against the Rockies. I wish the Padres would show some heart like the Angels do. Guess what? Angels lost 2 or 3 to that same Rockies team. They lost that series over the weekend.
Like the Padres.
They are the most baffling and have been for many years, most baffling team in baseball. Somehow they do it year in and year out. At least for the Padres, this year feels a little more baffling than usual. But for the Angels, that's just life as a Halos fan.
I know. That's the frustration that Padres fans are feeling. They've been feeling it in Orange County for a while now. You know that meme that's like, he like me for real? That's what the Padres and the Angels are like this year. But what's weird is that the Angels, despite their bungling this past weekend, winning a game 25-1 and then losing the other 2 to the crappy Rockies, they're in as good of a position as they've been in a long time. They have 27% odds to make the postseason on Baseball Reference, which is astronomically better than it's been in the Ohtani Trout era. And I don't think the Angels are going to blow it up. They're not going to trade Trout. They've acquired Mike Moustakas and Eduardo Escobar over the last week. This is a team that's going to try and sneak into the playoffs this season. And they've done this with Mike Trout being simply good, not elite, simply good. And because of that, because of where their value is coming from, Brandon Drury, Matt Theis, Hunter Renfroe.
Padres should get players like Drury and Renfroe. That would help them.
Yeah,
sounds familiar.
That would be great for you guys. Like, I feel pretty good about the Angels being in the mix. I don't think they have the pitching to do it. But they are, I think the Padres will end up with a better record than the Angels. But there's a level of optimism in Anaheim now that there hasn't been in a while.
That's amazing. Did you happen to see, you guys as well, talking to our pal Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a grand old Monday here on Ben and Woods, did you happen to see the Ryan Stanek blow up at Dodger Stadium, screaming at the fans, go F yourself, after he got called for I mean, I've watched it 50 times. I guess I saw a little bit of a flinch in the leg, but holy smokes, what a moment to make that balk call, Jake. And it was like WWE, him walking off the mound at Dodger Stadium, hurling insults at Dodger fans. I thought it was pretty electric stuff.
It was great. I like it when they say the quiet power out loud. Ryan Stanek has a volcano inside of him that was waiting to be released. We've actually known Ryan for a while, since he was in the minors. And yes, he's always had this in him. I have nothing wrong with this entire scenario. He lost it in a great, entertaining way. We watch baseball because it is entertainment. We are picking between baseball and the movies. And on Saturday, Ryan Stanek entertained the crap out of me and you and everyone else. Was it a balk? Probably not. I don't really care. I don't work for the Astros or the Dodgers, so why do I care? I care that we got to see Ryan Stanek let his long hair down.
It was amazing. It was amazing. One of the best blow-ups I've ever seen on a baseball field.
Jake, last thing for me, the international baseball, the London series, Padres went to Mexico City. This is clearly something baseball wants more of. Do you want to see more of it? Is it good for the game? More of these one-off series in different parts of the world?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I know the Padres had a weird experience hitting 8,000 home runs in the Mexico City air. The more places we can bring the sport, the better. The more different, bizarre stadiums and settings we can play the game in, I think is interesting. Yes, it's weird seeing home runs in a soccer stadium, but why? Who cares? Again, like, we don't work for the teams. Let's get weird with it. Let's do something in the Bahamas. Let's do something in, Southeast Asia. Let's put a game wherever on the moon. What do we care? We're just tuning in to see something interesting. So yeah, I'm all about it. The more one-off games, the better. It's such a long season. And so anything that breaks up the monotony of it and gives us something interesting, I'm all for it.
But I bet the players, though, are not. They were talking about it a little bit. They asked somebody, and he said, yeah, I don't think there'll ever be a team over here. The travel would be just excruciating. 13-hour time difference. I mean, imagine playing your games over there. You're like, oh, my.
With the way Major League Baseball schedules games, we got Houston, then London, then Seattle for our road trip here.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
No, there won't be a team over there, but that's not the point of it. It's just to drive interest in different markets. And it's simple. It's easy.
Jake, appreciate
Thank
it
you,
as
buddy.
always. Thank you so much. Have a great week. We'll talk to you, Jordan, next week. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Adios.
All right. Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Of course, Padres reportedly going to be starting next season in South Korea. If that all comes together, we'll see. Haven't got the details on that one yet, but international baseball just seems to be expanding. And I don't know. You want to, football's done it. NFL has done it for many years.
You could play.
England,
you could have
Germany.
You could have a team there. You could. It's
because you just play the once a week.
You play the once a week, and you can fly back and forth, get adjusted,
bye weeks.
Bye weeks and all that. Certainly, you could do that. That actually makes sense. And it's something I watched some of the game on Saturday, and I was like, all right, London, cool.
No, you could never have a team.
No, God, no. It did nothing for me.
But you have to. There has to be games where you play and then play the next day in a different city.
Right.
You need an off day before and after every London series. It just would
100%.
never work. Would never
100%.
work. All right, we'll come back. Final hour of Ben and Woods in season. Sammy Paul Reindel's got some headlines as well. It's all ahead. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final hour of Ben and Woods here on a Monday. Thanks again to Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue. One of those two guys joins us each Monday at 8:35. I've really enjoyed those conversations.
Me too,
this
very
season.
much.
They're
great.
Those guys are sharp. They know their baseball. They're funny. They're with it. Good addition to the program, and thanks to Grand Ole Barbecue for helping make that happen. It wasn't just a bad weekend for the Padres, bad weekend for our local soccer teams. Wave lost, Loyal lost this weekend as well.
Weather's getting nice.
That is true.
Yeah, weather's getting
we're
really nice.
We traded the June gloom finally for a little sun.
Beautiful.
Had to put down the shades. It was getting so bright in here this morning. Yeah. So I guess we've got that going for us.
Correct.
Unfortunately, not much else. And now we got to wait until Wednesday at least to try to start feeling better.
Isn't that the worst? Like, as bad as they've played, I'm still like, oh man, there's no game tonight. It's the worst part about being a baseball fan and a Padre fan is as bad as they're playing. They had to get on a plane yesterday after that just demoralizing loss, pack their bags, hit the shower, and then take a 6-hour cross-country flight to Pittsburgh and try to figure it out again. And now they're not on tonight. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? What am I going to complain about tomorrow?
Well, before we get to the Roundel Report, Paulie, you want me to see Woods just instantly change into a good mood and a smile on his face?
Yeah, more than anything.
I'm going to remind him that Thursday's first pitch is at 9:35 a.m. with an 8:35 a.m. pregame show with Sam Levitt coming in. So not only do we get early, we get 90 minutes early on Thursday to get into Padres baseball, which we hope they're going for a sweep.
Come on.
Of the series on Thursday. It happens sometimes.
Then
they biff the Thursday game.
They're going to blow them out tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Did you see that look on his face
Wednesday
when I
night.
reminded him of that? About Thursday's early start
What
in
time's
Pittsburgh?
first pitch of that game?
9:35 Pacific, 8:35 a.m. pregame.
We're
show.
out of here then at 8:30.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Not that I don't love being here.
But I knew you'd enjoy that.
I saw
news.
that on the schedule yesterday. Now we're talking. Padres and pancakes, baby.
We'll have a very early Rindle report that day.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to push it up at least an hour just to squeeze it
We
in.
could
for
just do
Paulie.
all bits that whole morning.
I know we could. We
Depending
can
on
make
how
for
the
2.5 hours. We can do anything we wanted.
Yeah. Do the thing standing on my head 2.5 hours. It's funny that every other radio show in town gets to do that almost every day.
Right now, let's see how Paulie's going to get us through this last hour.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah?
All right.
All right. I do have something you can watch tonight, Woodsy. It's the College World Series, LSU and Florida. Game 3, the deciding Game 3 tonight at 4:00.
Talk about
from
Omaha. No way to handicap this game.
No kidding, dude.
After what happened yesterday, there's just no way.
So it's
to
a
handicap this thing.
It's a best of 3 in the College World Series. Let's go back to Saturday, Game 1. Took 11 innings. LSU beat Florida 4-3. That's a narrow defeat if you're Florida. How do they respond with their backs up against the wall? Well, they had 23 hits, 24 runs, and they beat LSU 24-4 yesterday.
And Florida is still the underdog tonight.
Are they?
Still the underdog.
That surprises me.
You can bet LSU 145, get you 100, minus 145, and then Florida's 105. So $100 get you 105.
6 home runs yesterday.
You got to be feeling pretty well.
The
I
over
say
under
that,
is
but
9 runs.
I say that. I was just about to say you got to feel pretty good after coming out and scoring 24 runs and blowing the doors off a team.
Have you been paying attention at all this year?
I was at Friday night's game, and I was like, now this This is what I'm talking
But
about.
they're not the San Diego Padres. They're the
No.
Florida Gators. It does actually hold for some teams when they start hitting. It's like contagious and it at least carries on for a few days.
Why would they be the underdog?
Week? I'm not sure. Do they think
Pitching,
Skeens
maybe?
is going to pitch?
They do. I mean, he's going to pitch. They just don't know
How much?
Wow.
That is probably the must-watch event of the
The
evening.
over/under 9 runs seems a fairly easy pick, doesn't it? Take the over, doesn't it?
Game 1 went 11 innings and they only scored 7
7.
though. And they didn't have Skeens in that game either. There must be other good pitching in this series. I don't know enough about college baseball to bet on it. They use aluminum bats, Woods.
That's true.
2 of those home runs that I showed the highlights looked like routine flies right down the line, and both of them went out. One was a grand slam. I mean, anything can happen with aluminum bats.
God, looking at Skeens' numbers this year are just insane. 13 wins, a 1.69 ERA. That's nice. 209 strikeouts. College level. All right, we will move on. Guys, Kevin Durant did it again.
Off-season.
Let me guess. So I don't know
Murder
this story at all.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But when you say Kevin Durant did it again,
what could I possibly be talking about?
My first inclination is he stuck his nose into some debate over Kevin Durant on social media.
Yeah, the rabbit ears
Yes.
had perked up.
I feel you,
nailed
dog.
it.
I feel you.
Let's go to Friday night. I mean, I don't
Friday
know.
night.
What would you be doing if it's your off season? You're
You're
one
him.
of the best on the planet at what you do. Gotta have at least
Rich,
200 million in
yeah.
the bank. Could be anywhere in the planet, doing anything in the world. How did Kevin Durant spend his Friday night? Well, he spent it on Twitter, and he joined a Twitter Spaces, which you can do. You can. Somebody on the other side of the planet could start a Twitter space. You could find it and join in as a listener. And Kevin Durant joined in as a speaker on this one. The name of the space was Kevin Durant is not top 5.
Oh no!
And sure enough, there is Kevin Durant sitting there listening to these guys debate
That's
why he is
unbelievable.
not in the top 5, and he decided, I'm gonna weigh in.
That's
I just think how y'all even look at the game is whack as like
Kevin
playoff success. Like you factor in team success when you talking about players. I just think how y'all consume the game is trash. Like, are you good or not?
I agree.
That's the host of the
I mean,
space.
some things could be that simple. Are you just good or not? I mean, a lot of people have seen it for a long time, brother, and it's okay. These lists don't really mean nothing anyway. So why are you getting so upset about it?
Why are
I'm
you
getting
getting
upset
so
because
upset?
they're inconsistent of one way or another.
You are too, brother.
I'm inconsistent how?
You hold people to different standards. Everybody got
Such
their-
as who? Such as who?
for who they like. It's
Such
all
as-
right, bro.
But such as who though?
I ain't gonna go into it though.
Such as who?
But you are.
There's no need for me to go into it. But
You're
everybody
there.
got different standards for different players. And everybody got their own list. Everybody feel their way personally about their favorite players. It is what it is. It just seems like you get mad or upset when people talk about me, my brother.
Such as who?
I'm just saying, when they talk about me, you seem like you get a little bit upset. I
get upset because of the inconsistencies.
Kevin Durant pulling the old, like, you guys are saying, oh, it's all about championships, but really, are they a good player or are they not? Because, of course, you would say if you were using that method in your argument, like Kevin Durant's got, 2 rings, 3 rings, whatever, should have way more if he's as good as everyone says he is. He's coming into this Twitter space.
I mean, even Kevin Durant has to acknowledge that whether he's, I assume, top 5 player in the league, that's
I would
really,
assume.
really, dicey. I mean, you got Jokic, you got Doncic, you got Antetokounmpo,
yeah.
you've got Embiid, who's the defending now MVP. I mean, even you take those 4, and then you can talk about Curry, talk about LeBron. You gotta go. I mean, he's definitely somewhere in the mix, but it's debatable whether he's a top 5 player in this league right now or
It's
not.
2016 anymore.
But let them debate it. Let them debate.
Well, exactly.
You don't need to debate it. What if you saw a space tonight that said Ben Higgins is not a top 5?
I mean, if
broadcaster?
they were debating, I don't think Kevin Durant's a top 100 player in the league. Then
Yeah.
you go and you go say, you guys are idiots. You guys,
You don't know.
You don't know basketball. You know
you
what
don't
we're
have
talking
to.
about. But if they're debating whether he's a top 5 player in the league, that's a very legitimate debate and is not necessarily a diss on Kevin Durant. to jump into that Twitter space is ridiculous.
All right. And finally, let's put your marketing caps on, because Netflix they're getting roasted just a little bit for their recent move. We've gone over the story a lot over the last week. Why would the Titanic be trending? Well, we know why. And in the midst of everything that has gone on in the last week, Netflix announced that they are going to bring back their movie Titanic to Netflix, to their platform, starting July 1st.
Good business right there.
Is that good business? Yeah. Is that capitalizing? Yeah, striking while the iron's hot.
Bro, they do it all the time. If God forbid, I'm just first name the possible. If Eddie Vedder died today, you'd go on to iTunes and it would be like Eddie Vedder's legacy, and it'd be all Pearl Jam. I mean,
documentaries about him, things about him.
Here's Eddie for Temple of the Dog. Here's Eddie's solo work. I mean, it's all you would see. That's what they do. They're sharks.
I actually felt almost like rewatching. I haven't seen Titanic in so long, but after all this, I kind of felt like rewatching.
Well, you're not able to on Saturday on Netflix.
You are not wrong at all. I have been in the same boat, my friend.
To me, it's the same boat.
Oh no.
The weirdest thing for me is that James Cameron, who is the director of Titanic, has been quoted and interviewed in all these stories.
Yeah.
Not as necessarily the director of Titanic, but he's like an amateur submersiblist as well.
I don't even know that you could call him an amateur. He's been down there 100 times.
He's more of a pro than the guy who built the boat that imploded under the sea, for sure. So this guy who made the movie about Titanic is actually a literal expert on diving down deep water to the bottom of the sea to see this sort of thing, which now makes me again want to watch Titanic again just to see his perspective on that part. Because they had some, I remember, cool shots in the movie where
the Bill Paxton parts were amazing,
but then the actual like underwater shots of the shipwreck, and then it transformed into the actual
that was brilliant.
Before it was beautiful. It was well done. Beautiful. It's such a tragic story.
You also want to
star-crossed lover.
You also want to
the heart of the ocean.
Kate Winslet nude.
The heart of the ocean.
I feel like she would be up your alley. Kate Winslet.
Why would you think?
I think I've told you before. I was about 9 years old when that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Winslet's very influential in my life.
Very
influential lady.
Yes. Kate Winslet should really be on anyone's type.
That's fair.
But Titanic, honestly, good movie.
Yeah, great movie.
You think good movie, Paul?
Yeah, awesome.
I enjoy it. It's very long. It's a very long movie.
I think it goes for a 3 hour and whatever.
It's like 3.5 hours. They hit the iceberg like 3 hours in.
I think it moves along pretty well. No, the last half of the movie is post iceberg.
Cheater says James Cameron has the deepest dive in a submersible. Actually, yeah, that guy knows what he's doing. Man. Went deep.
But the Padres are threatening it right now.
They are. This will be the deepest dive.
I'm going to go thumbs up, Siskel and Ebert style, to Titanic.
I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to this mid-off that we're about to have with the Mets
next weekend.
We'll to wrap up the first season and
the first half.
The first half of the season and just a glorious mid style.
Your wife makes a great point on in the chat. Paulie.
Yeah.
Remember how we had to switch the videotape?
Oh, that's right.
I think it was the first
VHS,
the first movie I remember seeing at the video store that had
the double
tapes. It was a giant box.
Yes. The double. You walk into Blockbuster, you're like, oh my God, they have 70,000 copies of Titanic. They're all gone, by the way.
Who remembers what point in the first half of when did you have to switch the tape?
I don't remember what had happened.
Did they time it right? Like it was a transition between scenes, or was like Leo halfway through a sentence and then it just stopped? I don't remember.
They did that with the extended Lord of the Rings DVDs. You actually had 2 DVDs to hold the entire movie of those.
Never saw it.
No, of course not.
I like girls.
There are girls in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Kate Blanchett, another attractive English Kate, if we're talking about them.
Kate Beckinsale.
One of my favorites, Liv Tyler.
Love Liv Tyler.
He's in Lord of the Rings.
Didn't she have big elf ears, though?
Elf ears. You don't think elf ears are kind of cute?
Nope.
No?
That did it for Ben.
Nothing wrong with elf ears in my mind.
Braveheart also had the dual tapes. God, that's so good. All right.
All right, we'll come back. We've got a few minutes left
take some
before
calls.
Sammy joins us. If you want to call in, 833-288.
I want to go back more to.
I feel like we'll take more calls tomorrow.
I agree.
I want to get back to the discussion of possibly trading Josh Hader.
I'd rather talk about cheese.
And cheese next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, looking at the Padres 40-man roster here, Woods.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing what? Sorry, I can't hear you. My headphones are broken.
Are they?
Yeah. Completely dead. D-E-D dead. Oh, thank you. Guest headphones for those are your old ones, right?
Yep. I've freshened up. Got some new ones, committed to the craft.
Mine have died, and I'm going to have to commit to my craft. We lost one of your 2 pairs of glasses.
What is going on right now?
He's lost his mind. He's literally going over the roster right now to see who we can trade.
Well, I mean, if push comes to shove and the Padres are sellers at the deadline, it behooves us to know who might actually be valuable and a commodity for other teams. I mean, Josh Hader, obviously, as a closer, teams will need bullpen help all the time. He's a free agent to be at the end of the year. You look at Blake Snell. Teams need starting pitching, going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's certainly a possibility of someone who could be traded. I saw someone on Twitter point out, and this is actually interesting, Seth Lugo has a player option. If the Padres thought he was going to opt out because he's, when he's been healthy, he's had a good season, he could be someone that they might trade. He could be both a bullpen or a starting piece for a team that's in contention in the last couple of months of the season. That would be an intriguing choice out there for someone. Juan Soto is the one to me that would be the toughest call.
That's the ultimate white flag. The ultimate. With a year left to control,
trading Juan Soto impacts next year. Trading Josh Hader, trading Blake Snell doesn't really impact next season because at this point you can't assume they're going to be on the Padres next season. You could re-sign them, but you could also do that after trading them. You could come back and sign him as a free agent. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen where you trade a guy away and then re-sign him as a free agent. Doesn't dismiss the possibility of it. You trade Juan Soto, you're not giving him back. He's not even a free agent until 2024, but of course he might give you the biggest return on a trade given that he's got a year and a half left of control, not just a couple of months before free agency.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
But
I'd like to win a World Series.
You also don't want to just go roll into next season with the same team that completely let you down this year either.
Well, and I don't think it will be the same team.
But if you're not willing to make any moves, if you just want to re-sign Hader and Snell and everyone else is under contract, well, how are you going to change the team if you don't make some trades?
You spend money.
On what, though? Where?
Starting pitching, relief pitching, another bat.
But pitching's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
I mean,
but you could, technically at the deadline, you could only, again, we're 4 games under 500 right now at this point. So it's dire. You've underperformed.
You've prevented runs better than anyone else in the league.
So there's some stuff to build on, right? As far as going out and trying to right this ship.
So obviously you'd say offense is the place where you need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you, without making any trades, what do you go to improve the offense? You sign a new designated hitter?
I'm not saying you don't make trades. What I'm saying is that you don't, in my opinion, I don't trade. I saw what trading Josh Hader to a team that still felt they were in it. I saw what it did last year, and it drove them off the cliff. Again, the point I make about this team is I would rather re-sign Josh Hader for 3 years and let's go win a World Series in the next 3 years.
I'm not worried about the Padres going off a cliff because
they're already there.
If I'm trading people, it's because they're already here on the way, midway down off the end of the cliff.
It's a little bit of an early conversation to have. A little bit.
It's more of a preparing to have the conversation.
But okay, if today was the day and you're 6.5 out, what do you do? 6.5. And you're 4 games below 500.
I probably still roll with the guys that I have right now.
I probably still do too.
Yeah.
I probably still do too. And I do try to upgrade a little bit where I can. I do try to make an upgrade somewhere. Again, doesn't have to be a Shohei Ohtani or anything like that, but sweeping changes and letting Snell go, squeeze every bit of baseball that you can out of Blake Snell before the end of the season. He's really, really pitched well as of late. So if you are going to make a run, you need Blake Snell right now. So, but again, if the trade deadline was today at 2:00 and we're sitting 6.5 out of a wild card and we're 4 games below 500, I'm not going to trade Merrill and Salas, but there's got to be something I can do to improve this.
But
team.
if things continue like this, and in a month they're 10.5 games out of a wild card, you absolutely are talking about trading some of these guys.
Yeah,
and it doesn't mean, I don't think it means that you're waving the white flag on 2024. Obviously, you are on 2023. It's been waved for you. You don't have to signal to anyone.
Yeah, you've been waving the flag.
Your season is over. You've done that with your play.
I think for me, and I know he's going to cost a pretty penny. I know he will, Josh Hader, and I know they probably don't want to spend a ton of money on a closer, but you win a World Series with the Josh Hader, I think, and so again, not my money. I think that's a guy that you look at re-signing. Blake Snell is pitching himself into quite an annual AAV, I would imagine. He also is a guy that he's made very public. I like to stay comfortable. I like to be comfortable. Even if you traded him to Seattle, where he's from, would he immediately step in and be comfortable? The only place you could trade him would be the Rays. I don't know that they would want him. I think he would take that deal in a second to go back to Tampa. But again, it's such a bigger problem it's a bigger issue than let's just trade guys that are coming up. Because again, if you don't trust AJ Preller is going to be the guy making those moves. And that's kind of where my baseline argument is if he's not the guy, do you trust him to get back what we need to get back to, I guess, retool? You don't want to say rebuild, but to retool for 2024 and go out and win a World Series.
As a guy whose job could be on the line, or at least there's a good chunk of the fan base that wants him gone.
The natives are restless, man.
He's not trading for 5 years down the road.
Right.
He would be trading for saving his job.
Yep.
I'm looking at the list of free agents to be at the end of this season. Padres clearly need a bat, and maybe a corner outfield bat would be nice, or at least a designated hitter bat. The prize would be Shohei Ohtani. He's going to cost 3 arms and 4 legs, and if Peter Seidler wants to do that, we will all throw our hats up in the air and say, hooray, Padres.
Why'd you?
I threw my hat up in the air.
He lost it.
I mean, that would be unbelievable and the best way to improve the Padres. There will be other teams that go after Shohei Ohtani, and I don't think you can guarantee that the Padres can win a bidding war against everyone if the Angels don't even end up re-signing him. After that, I mean, the best bat maybe on the market is, Matt Chapman. The Padres don't need another third baseman.
No.
They've got Ahmed Rosario. Padres don't need another shortstop. Reese Hoskins maybe at first base, and then you what?
Gnarly injury.
Cronenworth over. Ian Happ could be an outfielder for the Padres, but is this team an Ian Happ away from becoming a World Series contender?
I honestly don't know. I thought we had everything in place that we needed already. I did, but I think this year, if you're going to upgrade anything, you got to take a look at the DH spot. You got to get. Gary Sanchez has been nice at times, but you got to upgrade the catching position. Maybe Camposano coming back helps that a little bit. I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's going to be able to provide. In my fantasy, he provides a lot. But I think you could add another bullpen arm. The kid Finnegan for the Nationals, what's he going to cost? Right? Somebody like him, he's great. Throw him in the back end of the bullpen just to help stop. One more guy you could possibly trust down there. What is he going to run you? A couple of low-level arms, right? There's guys out there that can help this team. I know that there are. There's a backup catcher somewhere that could help extend the lineup a little bit. There's an outfield bat somewhere that can help this team. That's not going to cost you a Merrill or a Salas.
Are you talking about this year or
I'm
next
talking about
year?
this year.
You're talking about this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about this year because I again, if it ended today, you just admitted as well, if we're in the exact same spot and the trade deadline's this afternoon at 2:00, none of us are selling these pieces off. Nobody. I'm not selling Snell. I'm not selling Hader. But
if they're exactly where they are right now, it also doesn't feel like they're a one, Finnegan, a low-level bullpen guy away from turning around the season.
They are the superstars that they paid an assload of money to. They're the ones that can turn around the season. That's them. They have the pieces that they need.
Well, we've been saying that for weeks,
exactly.
and weeks and weeks.
Exactly. Do we believe it's coming? I don't know. I used to believe a lot more than it was. We see spurts of it. If they can get going, yeah, they absolutely can. They haven't gotten going, and that's what's killing me.
All right, Sam Levitt lived it up close. Pre and post game show host for the Padres joins us every Monday. He will be with us when we come back in our final segment of Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tired of hunting for the latest clips about the Padres? With the Odyssey app, you can get all the latest podcast episodes all in one place, and it's easy. Just download the app, create an account, search for the teams you care about, and follow, and boom, just like that. Latest from your team right on your homepage. Download the Odyssey app today to get started. You get a lot of good Sam Levitt content, including post-game press conferences with Bob Melvin and the like. Sammy will join us right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Vicky Pepper.
15 south at Deer Springs, a wreck in the center divider. You're on your brakes from Gopher Canyon. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Quick 3-game homestand over the weekend. Did not go the way the Padres expected, and we are joined right now by in-season Sammy. Sam Levitt. Well, I mean, I was there on Friday, and Woods was there, and it was a heck of a great time.
Oh, what
everything
a night.
seemed top of the world on Friday.
It did. Everything seemed top of the world on Thursday and Friday, and then you're left with a head scratcher on Saturday and Sunday, and that's really the emotion, guys. I feel like I felt probably the most I felt all season on Saturday when I'm sitting down for the post-game show and I'm looking at the final box score and I see no runs on 4 hits and I see a Nationals bullpen that had been among the worst in baseball, really in the month of June, and a pitching staff and Josiah Gray certainly had a good start, but guys in Gray in the bullpen that were hittable, and then everything that happened yesterday, and you're just sort of left scratching your head and wondering why this offense has been so hot and cold, and why the numbers are so there's such a gap between what they do when they win and when they lose. So I'm pretty much like everybody. I'm at times, and especially over this weekend, just left sort of wondering what the answer is and why this has gone the way it's gone, and just sort of scratching my head. So I'm right there with you guys this morning.
A lot of head scratching. There's been a lot of head scratching.
Yeah.
I think that one of the tough, take expectations out of it, Sammy. We all know about the expectations. They were wrong. They were the prognosticators, ourselves included. We were all wrong. Easy to admit that now. Season's certainly not over, but it would take a pretty dramatic turnaround. But when you see numbers like you see with the guys on the fastball and they're not hitting the fastball, and I know all the players have stuck up for the guys in the dugout, the guys that are feeding them their information. I saw the clip that we posted on Friday about Manny talking about Flaherty, that Nelly Cruz, he said, no, we get plenty of information. I've seen Xander Bogaerts talk to the media and say, it's on us, it's on me, we got to get this thing done. It's great. But there's no real reason for it. There's really no reason for it. We're great. We're great at defense. Starting pitching has been way better than I thought it was going to be. Let's be honest. It's been way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part is you got a couple of championship caliber parts. And if you could just put the hitting into 15th in the league, you're first, second place team.
Yeah, and first on the Manny answer from over the weekend, because I was there when he was asked, his thoughts on basically the hitting coaches and sort of the job they're doing, and Manny was very adamant. I mean, he gave about a 1:25-second answer, really, taking ownership and accountability, and saying that those guys, stay up late at night trying to help them, and they're doing everything they can and everything they should be doing to provide these players with the best information. So he was very adamant when he got asked that, and I thought that was interesting. If you'll give me a moment, I have, I think, a pretty good comparison, because Woods, you mentioned it, that there are very good parts to this team as a whole. There are, in fact, playoff and championship caliber parts to this team as a whole to this point in the season. So if you'll give me a moment here, I have a comparison, because there are 2 teams, and I worked on this morning, and I don't claim to be like your pal, Saris, and be the master of the numbers and all that. But I look at these numbers every day, and I prepare for an hour-long pregame show every day where I have to come up with my own stuff and give you reasons for each and everything. So here we go. There are 2 teams, right, that spent a lot of money over the course of the last few years, and they are not really close to where they thought they would be. One, the Padres, and one, the New York Mets. You could throw the Phillies into that mix, but they've been a little bit better than those two teams. They're a few games over 500. So let's compare the two teams. This is where I was at this morning. And keep in mind, part of this is the fact that I have a lot of Mets fans in my life, and I tend to pay pretty close attention to the Mets. But here we go. Let's do a little comparison. Let's start with defense. That's a good place to start, because the problem for the Mets, if you talk to a Mets fan, they'll say the pitching has been a mess, and I'm sitting outside here.
You being assaulted right now, Sammy?
Somebody come up to me. Let me go inside for a second. All right, so they'll tell you. Sorry if it's loud inside here. I had to adjust. So they'll tell you the pitching has been a mess and the defense has been a mess, right? Okay, so let's talk about the defense. The Padres' defense has been terrific. First in outs above average, third in defensive runs saved, 27 errors. That's the fewest in Major League Baseball. The Mets defense, -10 in defensive runs saved. That's 22nd. -4 in outs above average. That's 20th. 38 errors. That's 17th in Major League Baseball. So the Padres defense is way better than the Mets. Let's look at bullpen ERA. The Padres bullpen ERA since May 1st is the lowest in Major League Baseball at 2.54. The Mets bullpen ERA in that same time, 4.58, 22nd. Starter ERA since May 1st. And I picked May 1st just as a date. Okay, the Mets are 20 and 30 in that span. Padres are 22 and 27. The Padres starter ERA since May 1st, 3.55, fourth in Major League Baseball. The Mets starter ERA in that span, 4.96, 26th in Major League Baseball. So when I say those stats, you would imagine those teams would have very dissimilar records, right?
I would. You've convinced me that the Padres are better than the Mets, which doesn't really make me feel much better, but okay.
But here we go. And here is the number, and there are a bunch of offensive numbers you can look at. But the number that makes the most sense with what we know, with the eye test, with what we've watched each and every day, right? The Mets with runners in scoring position since May 1st, 259 team batting average. The Padres team batting average with runners in scoring position since May 1st, 202, right? And then you pair that with the other offensive numbers, the fact that the Padres have been held to 2 runs or less 29 times this season. Only the A's and the Pirates have done that more this season. That was entering yesterday. You look at the runs per game and wins, 6.65 entering yesterday, 2.15 runs per game and losses entering yesterday. Again, it sort of matches the eye test, right? Where you look at a good pitching staff for the most part that's done its job, a good defensive team. I mean, this is a team that at run prevention, whether it's pitching, whether it's defense, they're really good.
Yep.
But you look at the runners in scoring position numbers, and I thought Kevin Acee in his newsletter a handful of days ago really illustrated it well, where you look at the batting average for each guy, and some of these guys are well below where they were entering this season. You mentioned the fastball numbers. There's another chart that Kevin has today illustrating that same kind of thing, the batting average against fastballs this season compared to where they've been entering this season. And it's pretty easy to see why this thing has not gone the way you would think. And, it's not like the offense has been totally silent, but again, those are the numbers. And then you compare it to how you feel, and it sort of makes sense, because you just sit there scratching your head as to why it could look the way it did Thursday and Friday, and then the way it looked Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know if that comparison makes anybody feel better or worse, whatever, but I thought it was sort of interesting for two teams that, are similar in certain ways with the payroll and the expectations. Both have not played up to those expectations, but it's for really different reasons, I think.
Well, as you just said, Padres have the parts of a team that could win a championship or make a deep playoff run. And it sounds kind of silly when you look at their record, but I mean, they have the same parts as a team that went to the National League Championship Series last year.
Plus some.
The pitching staff, the bullpen, the lineup, plus some. Yeah, I mean, who have they lost from last year's team that you're devastated by? Mike Clevenger? I guess Jerickson Profar and Brandon Drury would be better than Matt Carpenter right now, that you thought you were upgrading and you actually may have downgraded a couple of spots, and that's on AJ. But for the most part, the Padres' decline is not because of bad moves in the offseason.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, you gained Fernando.
The Padres' decline is because of a decline in performance of the same guys that you had last year that were coming through for you.
Well,
that delivered in the clutch.
And guys with track records that don't deliver anymore.
Exactly. Guys who came through in the clutch last year. Padres were great in one-run games. Great with runners in scoring position late, close games late. Same guys were great that are terrible this year. They were good against the fastball last year. I mean, you went through those numbers. Sammy just mentioned it. Almost every starter other than Ha-Seong Kim has gone down, and some way down against the fastball from last year to this year. That's why the Padres are playing worse. Not necessarily because they made a ton of bad moves or you shouldn't have given Manny a contract extension. None of that explains what's going on right now with the team. Sammy, would you?
Well, no. I mean, you're saying that the decline. I mean, you have 7 guys declining, right? And you've added a piece that's declined 70, 80 points or something on the fastball, and then I watched Xander Bogaerts tear through the league, and fine, you give him okay, it's first year, he's getting back, fine, whatever. Guy came out gangbusters here, so maybe that's the hard part to swallow. Came out like it was like no big deal. Happy to be here. I'm hitting bombs. I'm driving in runs. I'm getting on base every time. He's gone off a cliff essentially. The home run on Friday night again off Patrick Corbin, I think, notwithstanding. That's been the problem. Is why do guys come here and underperform consistently? Not sometimes. It's consistent.
I mean, you feel like if they're not getting the coaching they need or the information they need,
they tell you.
We would get whispers of that.
Well, the only one I heard any whispers was from Juan Soto early in the year when he was dying. And was like, hey, I don't know what to do. Nobody's telling me how to fix it. That's the only time I've heard it.
I hear whispers in the Padres clubhouse, and it's always, yeah, we're getting everything we need from our coaches. It's not the coaches, it's us. That's the whispers that I keep hearing out of the Padres clubhouse. Same as you?
Yeah.
The players keep going, it's not anyone else's fault other than our own.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I love the accountability. Sammy, is it too early, the discussion we're having about the trade deadline? Are we jumping the gun, or is it good to be prepared? Because if things don't change in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be at that position where the Padres are going to have to make a very tough call on this season.
So I got a phone call on the post-game show yesterday really asking that exact question and asking about what that threshold is. Now, I think we're still about a month away from really having to sit down and really talk that through and decide what direction this team goes in. And you guys mentioned it earlier. I think the conversation you were having earlier is more preliminary than having the actual conversation about it. Because, hey, if you're optimistic, and I'm in that category where if I were a betting man, I would say there is a run in here somewhere, whether that's, whether that's next month or August, I don't know.
I thought that until yesterday. Now I'm not so sure.
But the problem is you may not get to August. You may be, so out of it by then if that run doesn't come. Guys, I don't know. I don't know what that threshold is. And I think it's a really hard question to answer on 2 fronts, because what is out of it? I mean, if they don't, play a whole lot better in the next 3 to 4 weeks, but I don't know, take your pick of a number. If they're 7-8 games out, is that totally out of it? Maybe, maybe not. How do the expectations this team has? How does, Ben, you made a good point a couple of weeks ago when you said this is a team that you could argue is pretty well built for the playoffs as is, right? With some big players that have experience and, when they're going right, they can score runs and good starting pitching, and hypothetically with Suarez and Hader and Martinez and maybe even Lugo, guys you could throw out of the bullpen. I mean, I think it's too early to have the conversation. And I'll be honest, I wonder what that threshold is, because I think there's an argument to be made if this team is pretty far out come July 31st, the first day of August. Yeah, there's always going to be that argument of, hey, this season didn't go the way we expected. They certainly have some pieces they could dangle out there, whether it's Hader, whether it's Snell, guys on expiring contracts that are going to be free agents. At the same time, I think it's going to be pretty tantalizing, unless you're way, way out of it, to say, hey, we're in a position where we made the trade for Juan Soto last summer. We've done everything we've done to create this championship window. We're not just going to give up on getting into a wild card spot. So I don't have a great answer. I really don't. Not here on June 26th. And I'm not totally sure what that threshold will be. But the one thing I think we can say with some clarity is that, one way or the other, if they play really, really well in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we probably don't have that conversation at all. And if it goes the other way, then we probably do. So, again, they can make us all not have to have those conversations by going on some sort of run here. And with each passing day, that's why it becomes even more imperative that it happens. But look, I totally get out there, and I said it on the post game yesterday and taking calls yesterday. I understand if you're out there on this Monday morning and your faith in believing this team can go on that kind of run is starting to waver because they haven't shown it yet. Again, I personally believe there's got to be a run in there. And again, just some of the numbers with the pitching and how good they've been, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much for this team to go win a lot of games. That's the frustrating part about it. So I don't know what the threshold is, but I do think it's a conversation to have in 3 to 4 weeks, and it's probably a little early for it here in late June.
All right, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy.
Have a good day off today, and we will see you bright and early on Thursday in studio for the earliest game of the season, which is a holiday around.
What time is that? I didn't even look at this.
8:35 a.m. pregame show, Sam Levitt.
See you, sucker.
I love it.
We'll be walking out the studio early that day. Thanks, Sam.
All right, bye.
Sam Levitt on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
We're in such a weird position as Padre fans. Would it shock you if I told you the Padres wouldn't make the playoffs?
No.
Would it shock you this morning if I told you they would make the playoffs?
Not really.
It would shock me.
Would it shock you?
Yes, I'd be shocked. Both ways, by the way. Both ways.
If you told me that they find a way to sneak in on the last wild card on a tiebreaker with 86 wins, that's not going to shock me.
I'll be shocked.
That's not going to shock
We just
What do they
lost
have to
2
do?
of 3 to the Nationals.
What do they have to
at
do to
home.
get to 86 wins?
Yeah,
they
what
got
do
to.
they
Let's
have to
see.
do to
They're
get to 86?
37 and 41, so they'd have to go 39 and 30.
More than that.
More than that.
It's like
It's not that much. Let's see. They're 30.
49.
You have a calculator on your phone.
49 and
I can do this math in my head. I should be able to.
You're fine.
Not after 4 hours on the radio, though. Let's see. 86 minus 37 is 49. And 49. So they have 84 games left. So 84 minus 49 is 49 and 35.
I'd be shocked.
14 games above
that's
500.
Shocking.
So
I'll be shocked if they miss, but I will be shocked
they'd
if
have
they
to
may.
play as well the rest of the season as, let's find a team that's 14 games above 500. They have to play as well as the Diamondbacks have played the first half of the season. Is that possible?
No.
They have the same run differential as the Diamondbacks. So
if
it
you bring
is
up run differential.
awesome. All right. We will come back tomorrow. We'll take some phone calls tomorrow. For Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Talk to you tomorrow on 97.3 The Fan.